everyone, and welcome back to D&D&D&D&D campaign number 2 of Black Ink and Blue Blood. When we last left off, the party began their journey through the ice caves, traveling across miles of tundra, ice, and snow. The party stumbled across a underground lake that had been completely frozen over, with a mysterious light and sound on the other side of it. Finding a pair of frozen over railroad tracks that would support their weight a bit better than the ice itself, the party made their way across and found what appears to be an abandoned facility of some kind, with the branding of the Scar Concord proudly emblazoned upon it. Heading inside, the party encountered a Ichor Beast, seemingly fused with a metallic scarecrow, that frightened them, attacked them, but the party was able to fight it off along with its army of summoned pumpkins. So, as the party collects themselves and gathers up in the center of the garden, Officer Neon. Before the party had headed inside, you had attempted to inform the party that you would be willing to circle around the outside of the facility and see if there was a back entrance, knowing that the enemy would probably suspect your cunning plan of marching in through the front door if your enemy is still here.
That's something I wondered. I knew he wasn't there in the fight. Like,
yeah, I actually did try to interject to inform you guys of that as Neon, but so Neon, from your perspective, the party had basically just kept talking over you and ignoring you.
sounds reasonable.
So you, as they headed in through the front, you circled around the back to see if there was a back entrance. However, you didn't have too much luck. The fence surrounding the facility cuts off and closes in at about the halfway point on either side, and the back entrance is simply solid, unyielding steel. However, as you were examining the back to look for a potential hidden entrance, you heard through the wind of the blizzard, this horrifying, definitely not any of your party members, but no less horrifying screech, followed by gunfire and definitely the sounds of a squabble. Quickly making your way back. The rest of you notice about by this point that Neon is not with you, having Zephyr having picked up that Neon was not present for the battle. And Neon, you enter through the front gates, finding yourself in this massive, what appears to have once been a garden, now completely frozen over. And you see your party definitely a bit worse for wear, some sporting a few new nicks and injuries, surrounded by pumpkins, plant matter. All the pumpkins, except for one being held by Lucian, appear to have exploded. And yeah, you're not sure what happened, but something definitely did.
You walk away for 5 minutes and this.
Yeah, I'm gone for 5 minutes and you're all dead.
You all see. Yeah, you all see Neon.
Is it lit up?
Not at the moment. But yeah, so all of you, as you gather up, see Neon still in their mech, enter through the front garden, or rather through the front gates into the garden, rejoining all of you, leaving you all seemingly alone. The Gil, you have the skeleton of what was once the Scarecrow, missing the head, being held by Lucian, and with the metallic arm and legs still attached and unperturbed by the presence of the Ichor, acting as the last bits of sinew holding these bones together.
I want to go over to Caleb and kind of clear my throat a little. Caleb.
Yes?
I'm not 100% sure, but I think that this pumpkin head is magical. I can't tell right now, but I can tell maybe later. But from what I remember, it lights up when you hold it. So I thought because you can't see in the dark that maybe you should hold on to it.
So they want me to hold on to the pumpkin.
Giving you the pumpkin.
Okay.
Yeah, she's
Caleb will
giving
be
you the
like,
pumpkin.
Okay, I'll take the pumpkin.
Yeah, because most of us can see in the dark, and I know that you really can't. So I thought that maybe it would help you.
Okay. And I guess I'll just grab the pumpkin.
I will look over to Neon. And where were you?
I was trying to devise a genius cunning strategy to find some other entrance instead of marching right through the front door like you bunch of geniuses.
Sometimes
Well,
the
it works.
sometimes the obvious is sometimes unavoidable.
And it couldn't have hurt. It couldn't have hurt to try. Clearly,
But it also could have hurt to try.
but it didn't.
But it could have.
I'm not going to argue with you.
I'm not looking for a fight here,
You
officer.
guys, I think we should just get out of this room. I'm not enjoying being in here anymore.
I
We're
want
still
to.
outside.
I want to go. I want to go to the building where I saw the little keypad. I have a sneaking suspicion. Officer Neon, do you? Because you would know better than me because I don't know anything about these things. Do you know how these work?
Should I roll history or something like that, Matthew?
Lucian, what are you referring to the little scanner or the?
Yeah, the scanner.
Yeah, go ahead and roll history, and I will say while you're rolling, just keep your result at the ready. Caleb, you now have the jack-o'-lantern item. As long as you have it in one of your hands, as an action, you can light it, which creates a total of 120 feet of light in a cone in front of you, 60 feet of bright, 60 feet of dim. But you do have to have a free hand to continue keeping it lit. Little hand for keeping it lit. The light is considered magical, and you can disable it as another action, or simply let it drop. But bear in mind that it only creates light directly in front of it, so you have to point it at whatever you're wanting to shine light on. Other than that, there you go.
I assume it's still very dark.
Yeah. Although Gil, are you going to use your flame tongue as an impromptu light source for the party again?
Yes.
Yeah. So you're getting some light from.
I just imagine everyone seeing in the dark. Like they just see the light. Anyone who can't see in the dark sees a light shining in the dark, and just for a second, it looks like it's being shook up and down, like he's trying to see what's inside of it. Doesn't make any sounds when he shakes it.
Not particularly, just that kind of like very, very dull sloshing sound of like little bits of pumpkin, but otherwise, no, it doesn't make. But it doesn't make any like otherwise remarkable sound. Simply a grinning jack-o'-lantern now casting as it's the wick is inside is lit through your shaking. Giving you a much better ray of vision, albeit for what you're pointing it at. Neon, would you roll for history?
Who was the other one who couldn't see in the dark, by the way?
Kara.
I'll let Jacob do his thing
first. Wow, I didn't know that I was this good with history. 19.
Yeah, well, yeah, you work with these devices all the time, so that's more than fair. You know these devices to be biometric scanners. They read the DNA of anything that places their hand on them, and basically run it through a very simple process. If it matches any of the allowed DNA, then whatever it is meant to activate activates. Otherwise, it simply rejects. Some may have more advanced security protocols, such as activating defenses if met with rejected DNA. But but most are, it's usually just a very simple, reliable way of keeping an area secure. Most of the ones in Edict, at least, to simply be adjusted for Elven DNA in general. Since the grand majority of the population are elves. But you do know some will be a bit more picky, requiring the DNA of very specific people rather than an entire species.
Okay. Do you know what DNA is?
Yes.
Okay, good. It scans your DNA, and if you match, then it lets you use it. If it don't, then you can't use it, and maybe it'll activate some other nasties while we're at it.
Hi. I have a hypothetical question for you.
I have a hypothetical answer.
Now, my brother is a part of this thing. I don't know if he's been down here or not, but if his DNA is in that thing and I scan my hand because he is my twin brother and we share the same DNA, do you think that it would work for me?
That's not a bad idea. It could work.
Would something bad happen if it doesn't?
Find out.
I couldn't tell you. I'm not familiar with this place, so it very well could not. It depends on the place.
I kind of look at the others. Do you think that it's worth a try?
Go for it.
Couldn't be a worse situation.
Don't ask me, that went over my head.
Okay, Raccoon. My brother and I are identical twins.
Uh-huh.
We have
Y'all
the
are
same.
echoing.
We have the same make.
Same. You all share the same.
Got all makes and models.
Sorry. Is that better?
What?
Yes.
Okay, sorry.
Like I said, one at a time.
We have the same make. We have DNA is just strands of information that makes up a person. So that's our DNA, and we share the same DNA. So I'm saying hypothetically, which means kind of like I don't know if it's going to work or not, but it might work. I want to scan my hand and see if maybe it would recognize me as Lucifer.
How do you know that he's even set up to enter this place?
But that's the thing. I don't know if he is, but if he is, or if there's any information hooked up to it that may recognize the DNA, I'm saying hypothetically it may work.
It may also hypothetically set off some kind of defense system against people who aren't supposed to be in
Yes,
there.
I'm recognizing that and saying, do you think it's worth it?
Give me
That's a personal problem.
Well, I mean, frankly, what you're saying is that you and Lucifer are the exact same person.
No, I'm saying that we are two sides of one coin.
Well, what you're saying is that DNA is information, whatever. You'll have the same exact blood, or
we are identical twins, Zephyr. We have the same blood. We have the same family. We have the same DNA.
Well,
we're not like the same person, but what if hypothetically, because we share the same DNA, it could work?
First off, enough with the hypothetical. Get it? It may or may not work. Why don't you just try it? Worst comes to worst, breakthrough.
That's what I was planning to do.
Then do it.
But she just kind of scoffs at him.
So feisty tonight.
She just kind of scoffs at him, and I will go to the door and hesitantly put my hand on the scanner.
Okay. While you're heading up to the front gate, or rather the front door, Caleb, you had something you wanted to do with Kara?
Yeah, Caleb was gonna like look around for Kara, and then he's like shining the light around. He's like, "Oh, there you are!" Shining the light right in Kara's eyes.
Arrow, who has very light sensitive eyes right now. Just
Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to do that.
Those of you with dark vision just see Kayla basically like shining a cone of color on everything.
Just imagine everywhere he looks, he's shining the light.
Yeah.
Which probably to the dark vision people is probably even brighter.
Well, what it is how dark vision works is that everything's gray. It's not like we see.
Yeah,
color.
yeah, that's why I said it's like a cone of color to their perspective.
Okay, but like you shine it on Raccoon's face, her pupils were slits, but as soon as the light hits her, like you see her pupils like expand and widen.
All right. Does anyone else have anything before Lucian activates the security system?
I'm just gonna stand next to her, be ready for anything that might happen.
Okay. All right. So, Lucian and Gil, you make your way up across the snow and dirt path. Head towards the front entrance. Gil, like you had said to Neon, sometimes the best assault is a direct one. The front area of the entrance has actually not been hit by the snow as heavily, especially since the snow is much lighter in this particular region. And you take a kind of few cautious steps onto what appears to be the material sort of reminds you of the streets of Edict, this kind of like unyielding, like scratchy stonework material. And Lucian, you cautiously reach your hand out and place it on the scanner. You all see the familiar light encompass Lucian's hand, but once it hits about the halfway point, you notice that the scan kind of flickers and goes backwards before resuming, and you actually see a few loose sparks fly from the back end of the scanner before it completes. And there's a long pause, and it didn't tell you whether it was a clear right or wrong nothing appears to happen, but after about a minute, the front doors open.
Wow. Lucian just kind of takes a giant like exhale of just relief and looks to the others. Well, sometimes I guess it pays to be smart. Let's go.
Neon, do me a solid and make me a perception check.
I see. Yeah, let's do that thing you said.
Well,
Yeah, it is pretty icy
advantage?
in this place.
Gil?
Well, I was gonna say, can he have advantage since I'm keeping an eye out too?
No, this is a Neon
More or
exclusive
less.
thing.
That was a 21 for a.
Neon, you may not be a programmer, so you kind of struggled a bit with the automaton examination, but you are at your heart a builder and an engineer. You know electronics, you know engineering. You also know that the machine is broken and would have probably accepted literally any DNA.
I was like, that's what I had. That's like I figured. I figured.
Neon is in.
You had Jacob scared there.
Yeah. Neon's in their mech just cackling to themselves. Like you just hear it kind of muffled.
Okay, well, I'm gonna go to the door and
I will give you props for being creative, but I honestly felt kind of bad because I was like, shit, like this machine's so fucking old. Like, I mean, like again, credit, but all right.
I'll go to the door and cautiously look through it and look around.
Okay, are the rest of you good to follow?
Yeah.
Caleb will follow, just holding his little
Yes.
pumpkin.
Oh, and I pick up Raccoon, my backpack.
I was about to say I just skittered back over to Gil.
Yeah, so you immediately banjo and kazooie yourselves again, and all of you head inside. Caleb keeping your gun at the ready. Zephyr, you're just excited to get out of the fucking cold. And
Giljo and Rakui.
yeah, Rakui.
Yeah, there it is.
Sorry, Rekui.
And all of you head inside. Entering the complex, you all find yourselves in a dimly
Is
lit
this a
hallway.
dungeon within a dungeon?
It's just a continuation of the dungeon. You all find yourselves in sort of a large hallway, almost kind of akin to an entrance hall, but like very small and kind of oppressive. Zephyr, you and Caro are relieved. Raccoon, you as well, as the inside of the building is warm. It's admittedly a bit stale, like the air kind of smells funny and it's a bit prickly, but it's warmer than being in literal snow and an icy blizzard. And the cold-blooded members of the party breathe a sigh of relief as it finally warms up.
Wait. Are you like insinuating that Raccoon is cold-blooded?
I mean, yeah, they're a bard, so they vicious mockery.
I mean, you know what? We'll go with that then. Sure. Canonical choice. Raccoon is cold-blooded.
I didn't know goblins are cold-blooded.
Yeah, I always picture them either if not cold-blooded, then being kind of like dinosaurs, sort of like a middle ground between the two. Anyway,
You know what? Sure.
You all find yourselves in a dimly lit hallway. The walls are this sickly yellow-green color, and there is some light in here, which allows those without dark vision sight finally. But the light's coming from this dangling single fluorescent light bulb that's constantly flickering.
Oh god.
Creating this like ever-present irritating
You
buzz.
did that entirely too well.
This like annoying buzz to those of you not familiar and comfortable with electronics, and even for you.
Fluorescent lights that
Yeah.
schools have.
Yeah.
What is that bug in this room? Anybody else hearing the bug?
I look at Zephyr. If now is the time to shoot anything, that you can shoot.
Looking around, the only thing you see in here is what appears to be a desk, a very large one, sort of akin to the ones you saw in the Peacekeeper headquarters. You see a computer sitting atop it, a microphone with a button, a few drawers. The desk itself, other than those things, seems to have been cleared out messily. Behind it, you see a red tattered cloth chair, somewhat askew, alongside a wheelchair that appears to be abandoned.
Officer.
Yes.
Don't mock me. Excuse me.
Gil over here doing his own vicious mockery.
Another hypothetical thing that I have in my mind. This machine right here, and she points to the computer. Do you think that you could get information from it?
Is this one of those computers, Matthew?
Make an investigation check.
Investigation.
What is this, Fallout?
And
Yeah.
while you do that, I'm going to go ahead and continue. Behind the desk, all of you see several screens, very similar to the setup you had seen in the broker's library. All of it displaying what appears to be security footage from around the facility.
Question, are they still running?
Most of them appear to be. A few of them appear to have given way to static as time wore them down, but most of them appear to still be up and running. You notice it's 2 very large monitors and about 6 in total smaller ones, about 4 of which appear to still be operating. And on either side of the desk, Zephyr, as per the norm, get a little bit ahead of the group and start looking around.
Wait, have
You
we? So we entered a new room.
No, this is an extension of the previous room. Basically, that entryway then gives way to this like central area. And Zephyr,
Can I roll perception.
go for it. So you keep your roll in mind. Neon, keep your roll in mind. And as one last thing before we start resolving rolls and letting you guys go, I basically just have to set the scene before you guys start running loose. Zephyr, everyone can see this. I'm more just giving it to Zephyr since Zephyr is usually the most proactively heading forward. You see what appear to be 3 different ways you can go. One door to the left, one door to the right, one moving forward. All of these have markings above them, like with what appears to be a metallic sign plaque, although you cannot read whatever script they're written in. And with that, one person at a time. Caleb, since you're just doing a general perception check, what'd you get?
I got a 15 in total.
All right. So are you just taking a general look around, or are you looking for anything in particular?
Yes, Caleb is just looking around a little bit.
Okay.
Cool.
As Lucian and Neon head to the desk, you decide to follow. Glancing at the footage, you see, like I said, about 2 of the cameras appear to be completely broken, and one of them is desperately clinging to life, and it's very difficult to see what's on it. But on the 2 large ones, you can actually see very easily. Both of them appear to be showing a large field of snow, and you initially think it might just be showing outside, but on closer examination, you can see metallic walls and a massive set of doors, indicating that this is likely somewhere in the facility itself. The one on the right, you see several almost pod-like shapes. You're not sure exactly what they are, but you see they're covered in ice that makes it difficult to see whatever's in them. But yeah, so you see several what appear to be glass pods scattered around whatever room this is. And the one on the left appears to be just simply an open area. And you see a few kind of slowly wandering black shapes in these areas, which you don't need to be a genius to put together what those likely are.
Is there some kind of labeling of these screens, like indicate, like something that says where they are, or just anything?
Not that you can see. You look around and don't see any markings. It's likely that the people who were here previously would know these areas well enough to not need it. And other than that, nothing else in the room immediately catches your interest, although glancing to see what your brother is doing, you glance up at the signs he's kind of staring at, like as if trying to make heads or tails of them. And while you can't read it either, I believe, you do recognize the script they're written in as Elvish.
Hold up. So, the languages he knows is Common, Elvish, Orc, and Thieves' Cant. So if it's not one of those, he doesn't know.
Oh, okay, so you do speak Elvish, so you can read them. You are able to read the signs that your brother is struggling with. You see one it's covered in what appears to be more ichor stains, similar to the one on the gate. So you cannot read the door on the left unless you want to try and clear the ichor off of it. But the one on the right, you recognize says quarters in Elvish, and the one moving forward says laboratory.
See what Caleb has on him.
I have an idea, but I'm gonna deal with this
Bunches
first.
of freaking daggers. That's all he fucking has on him. Is dagger, 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 dagger.
Yeah, you're a rogue. And finally, for your perception check, you return to the computer desk to watch as Neon attempts to work with the machine.
Well, I was gonna have Caleb do something with the one he couldn't read.
Oh, go for it.
He's gonna try to see if he can't wipe the ichor off of it.
Okay. It's a little bit high up for you, but like you have nothing but time right now, and you're relatively athletic for someone your age, so I'll allow it. You kind of work your way up, and so you're just gonna like scrape it off, basically.
Yeah, maybe like use his dagger to scrape it off or something.
Okay. Those of you who aren't otherwise occupied, watch as Caleb kind of like basically like does that classic bit of like hands and feet on both sides of the doorway to sort of like shimmy their way up, and positions themselves to start scraping bits of the ichor off of the plaque. And after a couple minutes, Caleb, you're able to scrape enough of it off to see that it reads enrichment in Elvish.
So the signs were barracks, enrichment.
Yeah, quarters, enrichment, and laboratory. Laboratory moving forward, quarters to the right, enrichment to the left.
Okay. Caleb will
And,
tell, because his brother was looking at it. Caleb will tell him what they mean.
all right, so Zephyr, Caleb passes along what each door says and in which direction. And finally, Caleb, and then we'll get to you, Neon, and let everyone start running loose.
Sorry to interrupt you like that.
No, you're fine. You were just reading a sign, not a big deal. You head back to the computer after passing the information to your brother, and you take a quick glance at the drawers that Neon and Lucien are not currently occupying themselves with, and more to give yourself something to do. You kind of give an experimental pull on them, and they appear to be locked, but you can hear a little bit of clatter from something inside.
Are these like those ones that have like that are like? Is this like a metal one of those metal drawers you see in offices all the time?
Yeah.
So it has like a gap about in between them.
Yeah, you could attempt to break through if you wish, or get your brother's help, since I believe your brother should have stuff for lockpicking.
I was
Okay,
going
I'm
to
just
say,
gonna-
does Gil see Caleb struggling with the
Yeah, you're not doing anything else. So
drawer?
yeah,
I was
yeah,
gonna
you
say
see.
that Caleb was going to try to maybe see if he can't slot his dagger into the gaps to see if there's anything he can like break or move with the dagger.
Okay. All right. We'll come back to you then, as Gil kind of steps up to watch what you're doing out of curiosity. Officer Neon and Lucien. Neon, what did you roll for your investigation?
17.
Okay. You kind of cautiously pull up the chair, stepping out of your mech to be able to actually work with the computer. And the screen appears to be filthy, but as far as you can tell, functional. But any attempt to turn the device on simply results in nothing happening. But with your investigation, you kind of you're a bit frustrated, glance under the desk and start kind of fiddling with the machine itself. And it will require some electrical components, but it appears that the device has been damaged, although you cannot tell if it was intentional or simply the effects of time or whatever has occupied this facility since its original occupants. But you do find that the computer is damaged, but likely could be restored if it were given a few replacement parts to replace the ones that have been damaged or lost. But at the moment, it's completely out of commission.
I don't suppose anyone has any spare electrical parts.
What do you need?
Do we know what electricity is?
The bulk of you do not.
Lucien understands parts.
And Neon, by your best guesstimate, what appears to be mostly damaged are the processor and hard drive. Everything else appears to be serviceable. Just the hard drive has been completely removed, and the processor has been very badly damaged.
We'll need to find another working computer so I can cannibalize some parts. Anyone have a working computer?
I was
What's
thinking.
a computer?
I kind of look around. Do I
Anyone?
see the signs that Zephyr saw?
Yeah, easy enough to do.
Okay. So seeing those signs, Lucien will look at the others. Well, I kind of have a proposal. Why don't we break up into teams of 3? I think that each team should have somebody who speaks Elvish. Like Gil, you go with somebody, I go with somebody, and Caleb, you speak Elvish, right?
Caleb is busy tinkering with the cabinet.
I'm just going to assume that yes, because I've seen him do it. So let's say the Tibetan boys, because I know they like to stick together, and Gil. Oh, no, I don't know if that's a good idea. Tibetan boys and Caro. That's a good idea.
Put all of
We
our
gotta meet
squishies on one team.
Yeah, I don't think that'd be a good idea.
Speaking of Caro and Raccoon, what are the two of you doing? You've been quiet.
She's fiddling with something. Hang on.
All right. Well, Caro, what are you doing?
Carol's been kind of examining the technology with interest, but completely not understanding it.
Yeah. All right. Fair enough. You do take an interest in all this strange technology. It was a little off-putting, especially in the context of a very large, overcrowded, and heavily polluted city. But seeing it in this kind of isolated and relatively peaceful area is, it gives you a chance to just kind of explore interest with something you haven't seen before. You've always been a bit of an explorer.
Sorry, what'd you say?
I was just asking what you were doing since you and Kara hadn't spoken up yet.
Not sure at the moment. Raccoon is kind of checked out after her, again, little bit of a traumatic experience once again.
That's fair. So Raccoon's just kind of slumped against Gil's head, just taking a moment to process. And I will say one last note for you, Caro. So yeah, you're just kind of watching Neon kind of experiment with the computer with interest. Overall, you feel relatively as at ease as you can be. Always feeling a bit adventurous, you could say, and interested in exploring new things. Although the buzzing of the fluorescent light does make you vaguely hungry.
Okay, I come up with a good split ups. So I was thinking that Zephyr and Gil, even though it's against everything that I'm against. I think Zephyr and Gil, Caleb and Officer Neon, me and Caro, and I guess, and I kind of look at Raccoon. I guess Raccoon can just go with Gil.
Yeah.
Do you guys think that is acceptable?
Just the sound of metal being juggled with in the background.
I am okay with
Well,
that.
I think it would just like to cover more ground, and if there's trouble,
Yeah, what then?
Or split the party in 3 ways.
Give her a second.
There's one constant of D&D. It's usually a bad idea to split the party.
Probably,
especially in a dungeon.
Especially in a group.
She's realizing that now that the thought has occurred to her.
I may remind you what happened last time we split up, and that was just when I wasn't there.
I'm not very strong right now. I'm very, very tired. But I do think it is a good idea to at least check the place out. But perhaps we should stick together in that instant. It would just take longer.
Zephyr, you regroup with everyone else. You notice as Zephyr, you are more like looking around generally, that the monitors and stuff and the desk are part of this like sort of encircling wall that was basically built in the center of the room, almost like a column that like is emptied out, creating this sort of like odd effect for you, as when you're on the other side it looks like you're basically in a completely different room, but it's just basically like your vision of the other side being blocked by the wall. But regroup with everyone to at least see what, if any, decision the group's going to come to. Caleb, make me a dexterity check.
Alrighty then. Okay, I get +6 to dexterity.
Like +6? No, that's your saving throw.
Yeah, it is just a check, not a saving throw.
Yeah.
You're still good dex, just like not that high.
That's the only thing that says dex with a plus.
That's just your stat, like whatever your
Yeah.
dex modifier just flat is.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, the +3.
Yeah,
See,
still
I
good.
just kind of I don't recognize that exists half the time because I'm looking at all the other things.
No, yeah, that's fair. It doesn't usually come up that often. The others have been doing things that require it more. But yeah, since you don't have proper thieves tools, this is just a flat dex roll.
That's gonna be a 12.
All right. All right. Caleb, you start kind of fiddling with the lock, but this isn't a lock you're very familiar with, and you don't have a proper set of tools to be doing this. You kind of fiddle with it for a few minutes as Neon's working on the computer and everyone's like debating on what they should do. You're not really able to make much progress, although your dagger is not damaged or lost or anything.
And he like, okay, so you know how there's slots in between the various drawers?
Mm-hmm.
Can Caleb like try sticking like one of his daggers in there and then trying to like make it? 'Cause I assume it's probably thin sheet metal this thing's made of.
Yeah, it's like a bit on the thicker side, but yeah, in that kind of ballpark. Although I assume that's what you were doing as part of the attempt to open them.
Well, the second thing he's gonna try is just trying to make the metal bend using.
Oh, so basically you're trying to brute force it now.
Yeah. I was gonna say when I see Caleb trying to do that, can I just go over there, grab it, and just yank the drawer out for him?
Caleb, make a strength check with advantage.
Oh, let's see. Okay.
Interesting.
I guess if the second roll is better, then he'll rip the drawer out.
I don't think Gil would. I mean, he's like he just breaks.
Oh, well, but Caleb was trying to do it first, so I decided to count it as a help.
Okay, that's 14 is the highest on the second roll.
Okay. Caleb.
No, wait, no. I have a -1 to strength. Maybe we should have Gil do this.
It's too late now. What'd you get?
12.
All right. Caleb, you start applying a bit of leverage, and Gil, seeing what he's doing, you kind of rub your hands together and start pulling on it, and it doesn't like initially seem to be yielding, but you flex a bit, brace yourself, and pull. And between you, Caleb applying leverage and you pulling on it, you are able to open it loudly. All of you immediately jolt as this loud ting, 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 echoes
He
through
just
the
loudly
facility.
swears. Lucien just loudly swears in Russian.
Yeah, and
Russian.
Garrow's claws immediately dig into the filthy tile beneath all of your feet as their hair stands on end. And Caleb, you actually have to duck to the side, and Gil, so do you, as this thick metal bar that was likely acting as an impromptu lock literally like swirls past your head and sticks into the wall behind you two, nearly impaling one of the security monitors.
Yeah, we did get it open.
Caleb, as you kind of come back to your feet, you and Gil look inside the drawer. Gil, you pulling it open this way basically turned it into like an ovular shape. Like it went from a flat square to like bended like a dachshund. But you were able to get it open, and inside you see all of these are kind of scattered around messily, but they appear to be in one piece. A chess set, a pair of dice, and a set of playing cards.
What is this shit?
I want to
games.
Look at the chess set.
and I would like to look at the dice and cards.
Take the chess set from them.
Are they? Is it a D20?
I'm not gonna take it. I'm gonna look at it.
And no, they appear to just be a pair of sixes. Although first, Caleb, since you were the first one who tried to open it, and then Gil after, I will give you two first dibs on if anything in the drawer you want to check out. So Caleb, does Caleb want to grab any of this, or is he more just disappointed?
Like, picks up the cards and just looks at them like, what the fuck is this shit?
Okay.
Was this like a single drawer, or was there like a stack of drawers?
There was two drawers. This was the top one. Gil, Caleb grabs the cards. What do you want to grab, if anything?
I will grab the dice and the chess set and look them over.
Okay. Both of you roll me investigation checks.
Investigation.
Oh, no point in going stealth now, is it?
Well, now I roll a nat 20 on the most pointless
So did I.
investigation roll ever.
Maybe it's not
I
pointless.
got.
Okay.
We both rolled at 20s.
Hey! All right. The two of you are actually somewhat familiar with what you're looking at. It surprises you to see it in this region, though. Caleb, you heard what these are from stories that your families told you growing up. Tales of a far-off
Which family?
land. I said families, so both.
Okay.
And Gil, you'd always heard this as sort of a cautionary military strategy on the off chance these types of magics were encountered on the battlefield. You know, both of you know what you are looking at to be the tools of cartomancy, a magic known only to the denizens of the Aurora Isles in Ephesus, mages who figured out how to channel magical luck into instruments of gambling. Caleb, looking them over, the cards, you can recognize what they're supposed to be, but the faces are unfamiliar to you, the symbols unfamiliar, and on the back are several arcane runes, although as someone who's not very magically inclined, you don't necessarily know their purpose at a glance. And Gil, looking over the dice are relatively universal, although again the symbols are foreign. You can still gather their purpose. And the chess set is visually similar to the chess sets you've encountered in the past, but again, you know these to not necessarily be ordinary. However, Gil, you would also know that you have no ability to do cartomancy. So these implements are, to you, only as useful as they are as gambling implements.
Drats. The one time I find cheating dice.
You don't have this.
As I go over
capability.
there and I hear him say cheating dice, I just kind of shake my head at him.
So I was gonna say to Marla
Oh,
later.
You
boy.
are a robot right now.
Here, speak into my mic, honey. Baby.
Wow.
Wow.
Since Raccoon is with Gail at the moment, does she recognize any of this? And on top of that, since you mentioned cartomancy, can it count if you know cartomancy in real life?
No, sadly. But make me a history check.
Let me get my.
Use my real life.
Well, I was also going to tell Lucian about the chess
So
set
they're
and
like
see if she
fortune
wanted it.
telling or divination things.
Mm-hmm.
Wait. You're asking Lucian if she wants the chess set?
Yeah.
She is gonna look at you dead ass and just say, I don't cheat. I don't need to cheat.
Yeah. Okay.
I
Raccoon,
am
how'd you roll?
interested in looking.
13.
She got a 13.
Alright, you are not familiar with what these are, although they are very pretty. The symbols are unique to you.
Raccoon makes very half attempted or half aborted grabby hands at him.
Let Raccoon have the dice. She can put them in her mouth.
Wait, what?
I want to clean them first.
I didn't say now, Gil.
I mean, you
And
didn't just
then I
say
will
you didn't
give
say
them-
when. You just said let her have the dice.
I
That's
thought
fair.
that
And
was
then I will
implied.
give them to Raccoon. And since
I did turn it
Lucian
down.
doesn't want
She
to
did
cheat,
say I will look at it. So don't start with
but
me.
you don't cheat.
I don't need to cheat,
You
but
don't need
that
to.
doesn't mean that my curiosity is not sated.
Well, besides the whole, gambling, which, I am always down for a good game, but we are here for something, not for the game.
True.
You're
And I'd
right.
like to then rip out the second drawer.
All right. Make me a strength check. But before we do that, I will again, because I know Lucian, especially right now, doesn't have the spell slots for identify. I will just tell you guys what you're looking at here. It's you guys as some of your earliest encounters with dungeon magic items. So I'll be generous for you here. Just
Thanks.
generally, you'd have to identify them first, but I'll allow it here, especially to avoid confusion. These are 3 unique magic items of my own creation. The Gambit dice, the Gambit cards, and the Gambit chess pieces. All 3 of these require to be attuned to by a rogue. No other class can attune to them.
Oh.
Each of them
What?
having a different effect.
Wait, what is it?
Gambit dice, Gambit cards, and Gambit chess pieces. All 3 homebrew magic items of my creation. All 3 of them require attunement by a rogue.
What's attunement?
Means that only.
Yeah. So what attunement is? Again, this is why I'm giving you guys this for free, because I know not all of you are familiar with how magic items in D&D work. So attunement basically means your character has to spend an hour during the next long rest. Although you'll still get the long rest. It's just you have to say, I want to do this during the long rest. Attuned to the magic item. Basically, you learn how to use it and how it works. Once you're you can only be attuned to 3 items at once. But once you're attuned to an item, no one else can use it, even if they take it from you, unless they attune to it themselves, or some sort of magic is used to break your attunement to them.
They can't even use it until they attune to it anyway. So it's like...
That's what I was saying.
No, I have a question.
What's that?
Would Caleb know about attunement?
Maybe an Arcana check.
Oh fuck! I don't even know what my Arcana is.
Oh, yeah.
I get +2 apparently.
Yeah, your brother was a pretty well practiced mage, so.
Well, it's intelligence, and he's actually not.
No, yeah, I was just saying there's like a good in-universe reason for it.
That's gotta be a 10.
You are at least vaguely familiar with the concept. Basically, the idea that if these are magical in some way, because unlike Gil, Gil knew explicitly he had no use for these items, but you don't know that for sure. You know that the people famous for using them are relatively wily tricksters. So you're not super like you don't know exactly what attunement will involve, but you are familiar with the idea of it. Basically, you're going to have to figure out how the items work through some experimentation, which you think you would have the free time for if the party finds somewhere safe to rest at some point. And that makes you feel a little less bad about the seeming uselessness of this hall. You know these items are magical, you just need to figure out how to make them work.
But there's also a second drawer.
Indeed.
Gil is trying
Did it
to
sound like there was
burst
something
open.
in the second drawer?
It's hard to tell, though. Gil's already opening it up, so we'll find out one way or the other.
Caleb is going to try and help him again.
So when all right, so Gil, go ahead and make that check with advantage. But in the meanwhile, so I will say if this changes what you guys want to do with the Gambit gambling set, feel free to say so. But I will tell you what each item does when someone, if they ever do, attunes to it. But yeah, so bear in mind, whoever wants to attune to it has to be a rogue, or the attunement won't work.
Basically, yeah, you can't use it unless you're a rogue.
Caleb's gonna take those cards and put them in his backpack.
All right.
Is there an item for this?
No, completely homebrew. But yeah, again, you won't have any use for it.
Do you have an item in mind? Do you have an item I can use as a placeholder, you think?
And I'll set it up on D&D Beyond once you're attuned to it, so that you can have its effects in front of you. But in the meantime, so just for your personal note, Caleb, note that you have the Gambit dice, although you are the Gambit cards, but you are unattuned to them. Once they're cleaned up, Raccoon, you will have the Gambit dice, and unless Lucian takes it, Gil, you have the Gambit chess set.
Yeah, no, she's not taking it.
Yeah, so
Okay.
Gil, you have.
I already made grabby hands at them. They're mine now.
Yeah, so once they've been cleaned, Raccoon, you have the dice, Gil, you have the chess, and Caleb, you have the cards. And Caleb and Gil both. Well, Gil doesn't know for sure that Caleb can use them, but Caleb, you're willing to give it a try. And out of character, we know Caleb's the only one who has a use for them right now. Although Zephyr could attune to one if he gets his hands on one.
Yeah, if he cares for it right now. Right now, he's just like, why are we here?
What the?
All right. So, in the meanwhile, Gil, what was your strength check with advantage?
19.
All right. This one, you're now that you expect what will happen if you pull it too roughly, you and Caleb do the same procedure, having a bit of a pattern established now. Caleb, you give him some leverage, and Gil, you start pulling, but this time, basically, like distribute the weight enough so that there is still a pretty noticeable, but this time it doesn't echo as harshly as the drawer comes sliding out.
And the bar doesn't come like flying out at like
Yeah.
Mach 5.
Yeah. Inside, you see a few sheets of paper that appear to have been simply left behind in a scramble. Otherwise, nothing appears to be in it.
Caleb is going to look at the pieces of paper.
All right. Looking them over, you see that these are thankfully actually written in common. Giving them a quick skim, although you can sit down to give them a very thorough read if you wish, but just giving it a quick glance over. This appears to be almost sort of a log of you see dates, times, and names. Basically, like seemingly a record of who's going in and out of this place at any given time. There's only a few, so the dates are a bit out of order, and most of them, the ones you have, very out of date, anywhere from 8 years ago to the most recent one being 4. But you do see a list of dates and names, but that's about all you can ascertain at a glance.
I will go over to Caleb. What do you have?
These papers, they seem to be some kind of log.
Do you mind if I take a look at them?
Caleb just looks up at her. Looks down at the papers. Looks back up. Okay. Hands her the papers.
He
Okay.
kind
You'll
of gives
probably
a.
make more sense of it than I will.
Nah, don't say that about yourself. You are very clever. But I will take the papers.
Okay.
Do I recognize any names?
You'll have to read it a bit more thoroughly.
Yeah.
But you can do that as the party goes. So in the meantime, again, Caro, you've been quiet. Are you doing anything in the meanwhile? I know Raccoon's just playing with their new dice set and lounging on Gil to relax. So, Caro, what are you up to?
She's just like laying on his stomach. Laying on her stomach over his shoulder.
Yeah. So, Caro, what are you up to?
Well, Carol's just kind of like idly grooming Carol while everyone's just kind of doing their own thing.
Okay. And Zephyr, you've been quiet. What are you up to?
Planning the murder of everybody in this party.
True.
Not too far off, but you know.
Except for maybe Caleb.
I mean, it's just. I mean, Zephyr's just kind of rubbing his like you know, kind of rubbing his face a bit, just like as he has a headache, just dealing with these people.
There's always that one member of the party. There's always the straight man. All right, and Officer Neon, what are you up to?
Caleb is the opposite of the straight man.
I was
Nice.
going to ask. Very funny. I was going to ask if I could make an investigation check to see if there was any machines I could cannibalize from.
Roll for it.
I might just do that.
I'll
Maybe I will.
looking for familiar names. I would also like to, while I am scrutinizing these papers, I'd like to see if maybe I could recognize penmanship as well. Like, I'm really, really scrutinizing.
Do you have proficiency in calligrapher's tools?
That's actually a really good question. I might.
No, yeah, it is calligraphy. I always get cartography and calligraphy mixed up, and this is the one time I got it right.
And then I do have one thing I'd like to do as well.
I still want to try.
Okay, make me a flat intelligence roll. And Gil?
I want to check the room. I want to check it for like hidden compartments.
Neon, roll that investigation with advantage.
With advantage, you say? Don't mind if I do. Let us see.
All right.
Here. That would be 21.
All right, and Lucian, we'll get to you in just a second. So in the meantime, Neon and Gil, the two of you start looking around. Neon for parts and Gil for hidden compartments. Searching the desk, the walls, areas near the doors. There's not a whole lot in this room. This appears to just be simply a middle area to transition between other more important parts of the facility. Looking around, no other compartments beside the two drawers in the desk. The walls are simply a drab, stickly, and filthy tile that do not yield any hidden treasures or compartments. And Neon, you do not find any usable parts, just period. There appear to be, other than the monitors, no real usable electronics in this room. You are at least able to put together the conclusion that there was a computer in here that clearly had to be working at some point, and some of the electronics in this facility are still operating, even if at half capacity. So you are able to put together, there has to be parts in here somewhere, especially because you know that anyone wanting to repair this computer, if there isn't spare parts here, would have to make the trip all the way back to Edict and then back here. So you're able to pretty much make the logical conclusion that there's like likely parts here somewhere, just not in this room.
Well, I was gonna say, you didn't mention anything about the floor.
Looking over the filthy tile floor, raccoon kind of like almost rolling forward off your head as you crouch down to check as you go. Nothing hidden in the floor either.
I check.
Yeah, no, that's fair. It's a dungeon. Gotta check your nooks and your crannies.
Yeah. So are we going anywhere, or are we just sitting here?
I still got my thing to do.
Well, remember, you can do that as you travel, Lucian.
Oh, okay.
Although, what did you get for your check?
I got 18.
Yeah, I was saying more for the like reference of actually finishing the list. You don't have to do it while you're sitting here. You do not recognize the penmanship as anyone familiar to you. Although you are able to see a name that is listed. Basically, through the logs you have, it appears that this is usually the first person to check in, last person to check out, and you're able to just kind of piece together that as a result, it's likely they're the ones writing this. You obviously don't know anything about them. The name is unfamiliar to you, but you see the name Ludo Gamble.
Ludo Gamble. Why does that sound familiar to me?
It's nobody you've encountered yet.
Okay. I just
Yeah.
No.
So
Somebody else that we met earlier in the game, but with a similar name.
So as for where we should go, we are a little bit beat up, so I think we should stay away from the Ichor Beast in this place if we can. So I'd say
We should take a rest, because I, for one, need to rest.
And take a rest after one fight. So we gotta rest after each encounter.
Why are you so antagonistic?
I want to get this done.
You listen.
Tell you what, you can go on ahead. Do it yourself then.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. If you are so gung-ho, you can go on without us. We'll take our nap. You go ahead. I won't even feel sorry for you when you are dead.
I was like, can I knock out the little lizard boy?
Knock out? You
On
can
one
try. You can try. You won't succeed.
Can I pick him up by a scruff of his neck and say, "Come on, be nice, play
So
well"?
you're gonna grapple me?
Have
Yes.
something
Alright.
for that, you dumbass.
Yeah, go for it. Alright.
You've done this before.
No.
I love you.
I know. I'm just it's finally used it.
Oh yeah, I've used it before. I mean, yeah, I'll probably find multiple uses of it later
Yeah.
on.
It's acrobatics from or athletics for me.
Athletics for you, I could use acrobatics or athletics, which I'm gonna use acrobatics. Okay, my first roll. First roll is a 16. My second roll,
I rolled a 26.
I actually rolled a 26. Wow. I rolled a 21.
Gil bending down. Zephyr is very difficult to keep a grip on. So it's less that you're grappling him and more that you're just kind of holding him in place. Zephyr, you still have relative freedom of movement. It's just that basically Gil would have the opportunity to try and hold you back if you were to just run off. But given that you're not really like putting up a violent struggle, as long as he doesn't try to grab you, it's more basically just Gil having his hand on your shoulder. Zephyr is very difficult to keep a grip on.
Yeah.
Zephyr, what do you do?
He's just gonna give just a breath. Just gonna get the sigh. Just please take your hands off me.
Yes, I will. But we need to also think logically and be smart about this. We all want to get out of here, but we can't do this half-assed.
Well, I understand, but you also I would rather not take here. Spend days, months in here trying to solve a situation that could be solved in less.
Well, I completely understand you.
Also, you're also suggesting we, take a long rest right here where we just, probably alerted anything that was already in this building.
Like we wouldn't take
didn't one of the signs
watches.
say it was like rooms or barracks?
Quarters.
Caleb's like, there was a place that was called quarters in here.
That could be a possibility, but I still think that me and Gil should.
It might have like a door that somebody could stand in to take watch for.
That is a good point.
Yes. If anything happens, we have a choke point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think as usual, Gil and I should take split shifts. Gil, if you don't mind, I'd like to take the first one because I want to study this interesting information that Caleb found. But otherwise, I think that we should do that.
Can you agree to that, Zephyr?
Y'all can have your fun.
Yeah, you just go on without us, little lizard boy.
Sounds like a plan.
Just don't come crying to us when when you end up in trouble.
It's not Gil this time.
Not Gil this time. That's all you can see. Like, hey, you know what? Not my fault.
No? It's not our fault that he doesn't like to be with the group. It's not our fault that he is not being cooperative.
Well, try to be a little bit more understanding of the poor little guy.
It's not like I'm not understanding, Gil. I am completely understanding what he is saying. I don't want to be down here forever. I've got things to do. We all have things to do. I want to get out of here just as much as he does, but that doesn't take away the fact that I need a rest and most of us need rest because we are injured and I am out of energy.
Well, not my fault that you have energy fast.
Excuse me? No, we have been down here. How long have we? I would know. How long we?
About 2 hours in total.
Yeah.
2 hours. Yeah,
morning.
like. So you're gonna tell if
Yeah,
it's been
but like
2
we've
hours?
done a lot in the last. Yeah, but to be fair, we have done a lot in the last, like in the ballpark of 2 hours. But we have done a lot, and like yes, I hear you that we should continue on, but you should also know that I can't really do too much more. I've only got a few spells left in my belt, and I don't know about Gil, how often he can do that thing that he does when he's fighting, you know. And also, like I said, I'm injured. Look at me, I'm bleeding, and she like points to like the blood that's coming out of her, you know. You need to understand that, you know, even though you don't quote unquote tire easily, some of us need to recuperate. Even if it's just for 4 hours.
Just for 4 hours, so only
That's
you
all
would
I
get-
need. That's all I need
So only
for
you
a long
would,
rest.
so only you would get that.
Well, you're apparently not interested in having a rest, so why do you care?
You're not wrong, but I also just think as well as just like you're saying, oh, we all are damaged. Oh, but then
Yeah, but you are saying that you don't care. So
What?
why should I care if you don't care?
Well, you're not wrong. I have no preference on the conditions, but I'm just saying. Well, I like the idea of you guys doing y'all's rest, I guess, and I will continue on my.
Be my guest. I don't care. I'm gonna go take a rest. Who's with me?
Mm,
Nobody answers.
Since I'm on
I don't
full,
fucking care.
since I've taken scarcely a hit, I'll follow the fucking lizard man. Make sure he stays out of trouble.
The fucking lizard man.
The fucking lizard man.
I mean, Caleb doesn't really have anything to replenish, and he's not lost any health, and it's only been like 2 hours.
Listen, I am not doing that well. I am at 30 health, and I've got like 5 spells left.
Doing almost better than me.
Thanks.
I mean, Caleb's
Well,
only
you
got
have-
34 health.
Also, you have more than that. Don't you have like that's
I'm a little less than half.
what? A little less than.
Yeah, I'm at 30.
Lucian, you're
more than
just
half.
surrounded. The group seems to either be staying out of it or siding with Zephyr, more or less.
Well, he's not
It's
necessarily
less-
agreeing with Zephyr, but he's
They're at least
Trying to
going
go
to go
with
that way.
just so Zephyr doesn't get himself killed.
To me, why I should care. Zephyr's never gave one shit about any of us. Maybe you, Caleb, but none of us. He doesn't care about us. Why
I
should it
thought it'd
matter?
have been a lot longer than 2 hours.
Yeah, because it took you guys about 45 minutes to cross the tundra, about an additional 20 to go through the ice caves. Then there's the respective fights you had, investigating this area. So yeah, in total, it'd be in that ballpark.
If somebody can logically explain to me, other than I'm starting to not really care about things that I used to care about. But like, if somebody can logically explain to me why I should care about somebody who clearly does not care about me or my well-being or the people that I care about and their well-being, so please explain to me.
Not asking you.
I know I'm not asking you, Zephyr.
Well, for one, if we lose him, that hurts the party in general.
In what way? Yeah, he's good with
We're
the
all
short.
a party, though.
He's good with a short bow and like maybe being sneaky. This is
does what?
I don't
Party.
care.
Raccoon, I don't know
But
what you're
Zephyr
saying.
is the one you guys are siding with Zephyr for whatever reason.
Nobody's siding with anything. You're
Well, it
starting-
definitely feels that way.
starting a fight for no reason.
I'm not trying to start the fight. I'm trying to be reasonable.
Already made up a plan, didn't we? I would go off if anyone wants to join. There for you. And if you want to have your little nap, then go right ahead.
Well, fine. If you want to go on, we'll go on. But-
I kind of remember one time though that Zephyr went back to help with the group at some.
He went back
in
for Gil,
Mercurial.
but I don't know why he did that.
Went back for. Oh, that one. I think he's talking about something different, but.
Matthew was reminded.
Yeah, I'll fill in. It wasn't too long ago, so you don't need keen mind to remember this. The bulk of you were not present for this, but you would out of character remember. Zephyr had the opportunity to abandon all of you and save his own skin back in Mercurial, but chose to come up with a plan and put himself on the line to at least attempt to rescue you guys from the Scar Concord, even if it didn't work. But
Yeah, but Lucian
Caleb-
doesn't know that.
Yeah.
no, that's the story.
That's what
Caleb was
Caleb
telling
was,
you.
that's what I was trying to
Retelling-
say. It's basically it's a failing of. I couldn't remember as the guy running the character, but Caleb would have remembered in character.
Yeah, and I figured like with this argument, it was pertinent for that to be brought up. So Caleb basically retells the story of you guys being kidnapped by Gyogran soldiers. Neon, this is before you met the party, so this is your first time hearing it. The party, after taking down an Ichor Beast in the nearby city of Mercurial, getting arrested by soldiers from Gil's homeland, and brought to the Scar Concord. Zephyr and Caleb had been away from the group at the time and as Caleb tells it, had the opportunity to simply flee the city before shit went down. They had the chance to escape, and Zephyr was the one who put his heels in the sand and said that they had to help the group, and attempted to get the two's father's assistance on the matter. And while it did not work, as Caleb tells it, the point stands that Zephyr had the opportunity to abandon you all and save his own skin, and he chose not to.
As Caleb tells this story, Lucian just kind of crosses her arms and she looks at Zephyr and narrows her eyes.
Well,
What do you have to gain?
what do I have to gain for what?
You know what I'm talking about. Don't act stupid.
What do I have to gain for coming back?
Mm-hmm. What do you have to gain by being with us? What do you gain? You obviously don't like me.
Not wrong.
You and I don't care for you either. I tolerate you if anything.
Obviously.
That's apparent. We don't like each
Here's
other.
the thing though. If we do not like each other, why do you stay? What do you have to gain?
He stays
Explain
alive.
to me, and I will follow you.
I have my reason.
That's not the answer.
I'm not
Bullshit.
expecting it to be an answer. Just telling you I have my reasons.
I don't care. I want to know.
No. Maybe
But
you'll
just
find
because
out.
you want to know doesn't mean you're entitled to know.
Nobody's asking you. I'm talking to Zephyr.
Man,
Well,
well,
he's not
tensions
wrong.
are high.
Well, he's not
Lucian,
wrong.
then I could turn the same question around on you. Why would it
I'm
benefit you?
benefiting because one, I like most of you. The only person I don't like is Zephyr. But
But we didn't know each other before.
you didn't let me finish. I am recognizing that Zephyr has. What is the word? I guess the proper term would be Amanda is losing words here. Sorry. Fuck. What is that word that I am looking for? Jesus Christ.
I
Describe
don't
it.
think that's it.
No, it's not coming to me.
You don't know it.
Sorry, I just completely lost track of what I was saying. But he does have his like his tendencies of things that yes he is useful in certain ways, just like we all are. But he is putting us at risk if most of us are hurt or injured or unable to help. I am not a fighter, Zephyr. And neither are you. I understand that. But the only way that I can help is I can heal people and I can, do miraculous things because of Jiva's help. But without Jiva's help, I'm pretty much useless. I've barely ever used my sword. I know how to use it, sure. But, I'm not a fighter. I can't go in. I can't be like Gil, be one-on-one with somebody. So I'm just saying, please understand.
Yes, Caleb?
How many of the party did take damage, by the way? Because
I believe it was just Gil, Lucian, and Raccoon.
Well, and Kara, or the Kara's pet.
Why don't we roll a dice for what we do?
Roll dice.
Yeah,
Or
man.
perception.
Oh yeah, Lucian, we could do the hit dice.
Roll dice.
Like, and it's out of character, but man, we could do hit points, hit dice.
So short rest.
So we could take 10 minutes.
No, we would
10 minutes. You need an hour, yeah.
Short
would need an
rest.
hour.
I know. Short rest is an hour.
Lucian kind of sighs heavily and looks back down at Xavier. Could you let us rest for an hour at least?
Again, what I am how about this? Again, we could continue on. Not even my brother could come, but Neon, while I appreciate the offer, you are in a mech. Not very stealthy. Why don't either my brother or at least I go on ahead and scout the area? Would that suffice your needs?
Give me one reason I should trust you.
For the love of God.
What reason would I have?
Yes, this is what we're doing.
No. Lucian's just
Lucian.
like, no. I need the reason
Stop
to trust
arguing.
you. No, because
Shut up!
No, you shut up. Listen.
I'm sick of this. All of you are arguing constantly. We need to just do something.
I want to know why he wouldn't betray us.
Caleb's like, I'm going to go with him, and we're going to go scout.
Caleb, I think I can trust. You have not given me a reason to not trust you.
The argument? Does that get everybody to stop?
No, I want to know how how I know I can trust Zephyr.
I'm
because
going to go
if you
with him.
didn't,
I can corroborate
he
what
would
he
die.
says.
Gil, I can defend myself, but well, you're not wrong.
Maybe I will go with them.
You have no reason to trust me.
Would it help?
And I frankly don't. I'm not going to ask for it. But you also have to think, what would I also to gain from betraying you right now? I have nothing.
Caleb was like, and I'm going with him. I can corroborate what he says. Now let's just go. Instead of arguing with each other
like
constantly.
I'm having a choice here. Let's find somewhere to rest.
And Zephyr, in case you didn't hear, Caro also offered to accompany you. And you know Caro to be more used to deft, quiet travel.
Yeah.
Wouldn't their feet make a lot of noise, though, because they're frogs?
True, but they're also a ranger, so it balances out.
You learned to pitter-patter with
Or they make, like,
lightness.
sloppy noise, like...
Well, do you hear frogs really making noise other than the noise they deliberately make?
Well, to be fair, those frogs are also very small.
Oh yeah. Either way,
All right.
game mechanic wise.
So you guys gonna head into the quarters area?
Yes.
Yeah, sure.
All right.
He's not happy, but yeah.
As we have made abundantly clear.
Like, this constant back and forth arguing has gotten on everybody.
I'm really sorry, but you know,
Oh, yeah, it's part of the game.
Yeah, it's a
in
character thing. Yeah, it's a
it's
character. No one's actually
Yeah,
mad.
it's in character.
Yeah,
I'm
let's
sorry.
establish none of
Yeah,
that
this
is
is all,
like
this is all
Everybody-
purely character stuff.
Yeah.
It's annoyed everybody in character.
Yeah, we're all fine. Everyone's friends. So, Zephyr taking a bit of a lead, both in preparation to fill your newly bestowed scouting role alongside your brother and teammate Caro. The rest of you, especially the injured party members, hanging back a bit. The next door, assuming you guys are heading for the quarters, does not have the biometric scanner. It is simply a button, which, Zephyr, do you want to give it a push and proceed onward?
I will look back at the parties. Say, shall we?
For once in her life, she says nothing.
This is an improvement.
Listen, I, Amanda, I agree. You know, Lucian is just
Yeah.
as
Angry-
hard-headed
angry
as it
elf.
comes.
Yeah. So I will press the button.
All right. Zephyr, you kind of give a quick hop to hit the button from your short height. The next door opens, and you guys proceed further in.
Just imagine he just like hops and like slaps the button.
Basically, yeah. You find yourselves in a hallway. This one still having some of that fluorescent lighting. These ones actually like built into the ceiling rather than just a loose bulb hanging. It appears that that one in the entryway was simply an afterthought. However, the light here is incredibly dim, as most of the fluorescents here appear to be barely functioning, if they are at all.
Can still have pumpkin.
Yeah, you still have your jack-o'-lantern, although you can still see. It's just a little like think of it like horror game lighting. Like it's dark, but you can actually see relatively what's in front of you.
I don't know. Caleb is spook.
All right, you want to give the jack-o'-lantern a go?
Why no? I just said Caleb is spook.
Okay. So
'Cause it
weapons
just
in
is
hand.
a spooky.
Yeah, spooky hall. The scouts heading in first with the rest of the party behind. You all find yourselves in a hallway. You see 4 doors, 2 on either side of you. However, you notice the second one on the right is much further ahead. And all of you can see further ahead what appears to be a relatively large room that this hallway just leads directly into, like just an entryway, no actual door. That doesn't, really immediately concern you. What does concern everyone as soon as the door opens is a unnatural and familiar light source. You see what initially, as your eyes adjust to the new darkness, appears to be another jack-o'-lantern, this one simply floating. However, as your eyes adjust, you see one of the most visually horrifying Ichor Beasts you've encountered so far. It does not appear to have seen you yet, but all of you kind of immediately tense up as you see it across the hall from you. You see this relatively large, about the size of Lorican's Ichor Beast. The jack-o'-lantern is attached to a thin, bony body that is basically clawing its way forward and appears to have no visible legs. But it's almost walking with this sort of crab walk. Its arms sort of like akimbo, rather than like dragging itself, it's simply crawling. So sort of akin to the one that camouflaged on the ceilings in the ice caves. Its
gotta go-
fingers.
Crab walking on its arms.
Crab.
Well, yeah, I haven't finished describing it yet. You'll see what the deal is. Its fingers are long and claw-like, appearing to end in solidified ichor rather than the liquid that composes the rest of its body. And another jack-o'-lantern adorned on where its head would be, glowing and casting light on everything it looks at. As your eyes travel down to go to where its legs should be, you see another body. This one standing upright. This one does have legs. Basically, the front Ichor Beast with the jack-o'-lantern head sort of extending out of this one's stomach and holding itself up by its arms, while this one simply walks normally. This
That's
body.
horrifying.
It gets worse. This body is a lot bigger, having a sort of gill-esque, like tall and muscular build. Its head actually scraping the ceiling of the hallway. And its right arm appears to have been completely replaced with a still made of ichor, but massive blade, almost like dragging this insane great sword behind it, it making a metallic against the tile floor as it moves, unable to lift it up fully, simply dragging it behind them. And as this Ichor Beast steps forward, it steps slow as it kind of has to drag this blade. You see one final torso extending from its spine, dragging along the back of its floor flat on its back. A relatively generic visually Ichor Beast, humanoid with completely composed of liquid black. But its arms are simply flat and effortlessly held at its sides as it's dragged across the floor on its back by the two in front, drooling just puddles, almost creating a river of ichor behind the creature as it walks. This horrifying chimera of three Ichor Beasts stuck together. The one in front offering balance, the one in the middle walking and simply dragging the third behind them, walks around, almost seeming in like circles in the room ahead of you. It does not appear to have noticed your entrance, or if it does, it simply hasn't reacted, simply walking.
So it can walk.
Yeah, it is walking, but like that basically you notice the first one didn't have legs, and then that's where you saw the middle one, which does. So basically, humanoid torso with a body coming out of the spine and being dragged behind, and a body up front, crab walking to keep it supported.
Ooh, it's like a
Hey,
bloodborne
Lucian just
monster.
kind of visibly steps back into whoever's behind her.
Wait, they're not. Are they there?
Yeah, everyone's entering the room. Just the scouts are up in front. So Lucian, you're able to just back up like full on, like you don't like nobody's like outright blocking you, especially because
Caleb is just like, I think we should go somewhere else. Maybe wait for it to fall asleep. If they sleep.
I don't think these things sleep. I'm whispering this, obviously. You know, she whispers back. I don't think these things sleep.
Maybe there's another way
I
around.
think this place is already occupied.
Larkin did.
Sweetheart, that was different.
God damn it, Matthew.
That's what we hear. Yeah.
Let's leave. Please, let's just leave. I can't fight this.
Caleb
I'm
is
not
just
strong enough.
backing away.
Alright.
I swear to God, if Zephyr aggroes,
I'm not gonna aggro.
Caleb will actually run away.
I mean, yeah, I'm not gonna act. Like as Lucian testified, I'm not a fighter.
Can you help us?
The pumpkin head kind of lurches forward and vomits ichor onto the floor, and like perches its arm on the wall to support itself as the whole trio kind of stumble in place. And Zephyr, you notice the one in back, its head kind of lolls lazily to the side as its comrades drag it, and it looks directly at you, but doesn't react.
Raccoon is going to like tug at Gil and be like, I don't want to fight that. I really don't want to fight that.
I assume whispering, right?
Yeah, stage whisper.
And
Yeah,
didn't you
fight
just
that
say,
kill.
Matthew,
What's
didn't you just that they were saying help us?
Are you trying to like piece together what it was saying?
Yes.
It's a bit hard to make out, especially with the acoustics and how gargled it is. But you can hear it saying, and all of you can hear this if you take the time to like piece it. It's saying alpha.
Yeah, that's what it sounded like.
Oh, alpha.
Alpha.
Sounded like help us to us.
Yeah, so I'm going to back up and I'm going to make sure everyone else gets out and then we're going to shut the door quietly.
Well, first let's see if everyone wants to leave. Zephyr, you're the first one to notice that
they can be locked in there.
You're just gonna leave and close the door?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Zephyr's gonna leave. He has no reason to fight.
Well, that's why I said if they don't want to leave, that's their option.
All right. As all of you are like starting to back up, you can see the head in the back just kind of lazily staring down the hall at all of you, and the one in the middle kind of turns and its head turns to watch as all of you back away. It just stares at you.
Thanks, I hate it.
They seem friendly.
Yeah, honestly, maybe they're friendly. Maybe they want to help us. Maybe we should go back and introduce ourselves.
Honor and glory.
Nope. Get out.
Did
out,
it say
out,
honor and
out.
Boy.
Honor and glory. So a soldier, possibly.
Guys, get out. Nope.
We're leaving. Zephyr can
play Fortnite.
No.
He said, do you play Fortnite?
Wait, please.
No, I play Call of Duty.
Join my Minecraft server.
Show feet.
I don't need this right now.
Yeah. Okay. We'll be on.
Oh my god! I almost fucking passed out.
As normal as we can.
Jacob, don't piss yourself, Jacob.
Holy shit! They fucking
yeah, so-
ended me.
So what are you all doing? You all can make out what it's saying as all of you kind of piece together it, having heard enough Ichor Beast. But yeah, other than Lorcan before he turned, you've never really heard Ichor Beast directly speak like this, which does catch your attention. As finally the third and final head turns with a swivel towards you, the pumpkin just kind of unnaturally curving completely to look at you. As now light is
Shining light of this.
Yeah, shining light all down the hall, illuminating it like a horror game's flashlight, as the third and final head just stares, and
Gil has this crazy
How's
idea.
your throat,
No.
Matthew?
oh, I love doing this voice.
Like we're gonna be we're all the way outside, but before he shuts the door, he's gonna be standing in the middle of the doorway and he's gonna say, "Who are y'all?"
It kind of like lurches in the middle head, like vomits Ichor onto the floor. Alpha!
Who were you before that?
The one in the middle puts its remaining actual functioning hand to its face, and Ichor begins to like pool and flood between its fingers as the head in the middle like kind of lurches and like basically like just pressing its chest into the floor as its head kind of lulls around, almost like it has an insane headache and it's in terrible pain before finally its head kind of lurches back. And curves to look, and as Ichor just kind of drools away from it.
Okay, but can you say that without the voice?
Yeah, Rokesh. Which, Lucian, make me a history check.
Ooh. I am proficient in that. Ooh, 24.
You know that name. Or at least you think you might. That was a noble in Wicket, almost like 40 years ago. They were a member of the Wicket nobility who joined the army, working their way up from a frontline soldier to a famous battle mage before dying in battle about 35 years ago.
She just
Quote
kind of
unquote dying.
she has this very specific look on her face, like her eyebrows are knit together, and she's kind of like shaking her head, like, no, I couldn't be. Do I remember their last name?
No, Rokesh was their last name. Their full
Okay.
name was Angus Rokesh.
name.
I will kind of from Gil, behind Gil, I'll just say, Angus?
Honor and glory, and Ichor like pools from its mouth again.
Is that just the name of like the one that's crab
does-
walking, or is that like the whole thing?
It's hard to tell. All three of them appear to react at the same time.
Okay, so question. When he says honor and glory, does that sound like something from their noble house?
Definitely not, and it's not a Wicket battle cry either.
Does it sound Geogrin?
Yeah, I was gonna ask Gil.
Yeah, as someone in the army, you don't even have to roll. That's not a Geogrin cry either.
Do I
Let's see. Tavaja has robbed a lot of people. Can Caleb see if he's ever heard it before?
Gil and Caleb roll history. And real quick, Zephyr and Kara, what are the two of you doing? Again, just making sure the quiet players get a chance.
That's going to be a 15 in total.
Okay, and Gil?
22.
Okay. So yeah, Zephyr or Kara, real quick before I give them their results.
Zephyr is just waiting in the hallway.
Arrow is ready
Zephyr
her
finally
crossbow
found something
just in
that'll make him
case.
stop trying to advance.
All right. So yeah, Zephyr, you and Kara stand at the ready. Kara quietly loading a crossbow bolt. Both of you are familiar with that battle cry, although it's a relatively generic one. But what reminds you of what it likely is specifically the jack-o'-lantern head. You hadn't pieced it together as that Ichor Beast you had encountered hadn't given you any indications of their allegiances, whoever they may have once been. But this jack-o'-lantern combined with that phrase does actually remind you. That is, again, relatively a generic battle cry, but that associated with the jack-o'-lantern is the ironic battle cry of a local order, quote-unquote, of knights. As most knight orders tend to have fairly broad reaches, the one in Yav specifically is primarily inhabited by Alrane, the plant folk. Their knight organization does not have a name that the two of you know because it is simply made up of any knights who couldn't cut it in other more established orders and came here. It is made up of knights and paladins who broke their oath and were rejected from their orders. They use that battle cry as sort of, some see it as a penitence, as glory in battle may restore their forsaken honor. Others use it as simply a sarcastic quip at the orders who rejected them, basically fighting dishonorably while proclaiming to be as honorable as them. But the two of you are familiar with the concept, as there is a local establishment of the order that is primarily inhabited by Alrane, the plant folk. Which would explain
the
the buckets.
Tavajan bandits steal from them a lot.
You do recall having heard of doing so before. They don't typically raid them directly, but will have occasionally had to deal with some of them extorting caravans that you happen to raid.
Protecting what?
Caravans that the Tavajans happen to raid.
No, you said something else that you
I coughed and then said extorting.
Oh.
Basically, I'll protect you from robbers. And if you say no, I'll rob you myself.
And then they failed to protect them from robbers.
Yep.
Or they never paid him.
Wonder if Tibajans ever do that. Pay us and we won't rob you.
Occasionally, that's a fairly standard practice for highwaymen. And it's more efficient than simply stealing everything anyway. Because that basically it encourages a sense of paying a fee or a toll rather than like, oh, don't go that way because you'll lose literally everything.
I mean, it's good if you have like two squads, one that offers, one that robs, so that way it makes it feel like, hey, I paid this one, they'll these guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
Gil then wants to ask, what happened to you guys?
Make a persuasion check.
Could I say? I'm sorry. Could I say to it, Agnes? What happened? To just help.
Yeah, sure. Roll persuasion with advantage. And Caleb?
I just imagine like it. I just imagine like whenever you switch from that voice to talking regularly, that it just did that.
Yeah, yeah. That's what the head being dragged behind the others is just rolls or has like a perfectly normal voice. All right, so yeah, you have persuasion with advantage, Gil.
21.
Persuasion.
Yeah, roll persuasion. All right. It kind of stands and kind of lurches and finally starts to turn to actually look at all of you. The pumpkin-headed body kind of scuttling with its arms to stay in place, and the other body simply just dragging behind it like a loose tail as it looks at all of you and kind of puts a hand to its chest. Alpha. And slowly raises a clawed finger and gestures it further into the room at a wall you can't see. But it finally lets its arm fall to the ground with a wet smack.
I understand.
Laboratory.
I nod. I understand.
Honor and glory.
Is there any way to help y'all?
It freezes, and there's like a long pause, and you hear that kind of gargled sound again. And Ink and Ichor begin to pool as it puts a hand to its face again.
Can I help you? What can I do for you?
It just stares. All three heads turned to watch as it opens its mouth and Ichor just floods like a waterfall from its jaws. And it doesn't say anything, but it simply lets its head loll to the side as its jaw hangs loosely and drools. And you see more Ichor and ink flood from its eyes.
Do you guys remember when we were in Mercurial and that big Ichor Beast was there, and anytime it killed something, it turned other people into Ichor Beasts? I'm assuming Alpha means something similar to that. That's what happened to him.
Assuming Alpha means original experimenting.
I was thinking that Alpha meant it was the first, right?
That's what
Alpha
I'm saying.
is,
The
I think,
original.
yeah.
The original.
The pumpkin head kind of snaps towards Zephyr, and as Ichor drools from the jagged jaws, it and like its head kind of jolts up and down, almost like a broken animatronic attempting to nod.
Say yes. So yeah.
Did the Alpha do this to you?
The head in the back finally pipes up from the floor. The first for the lady.
Caleb is going to ask, "Are you Alpha?"
Alpha, Alpha, and it puts a hand to its chest.
I think it's
Yeah.
fair to say that it is Alpha.
Will
But
you
it's
hurt
the
us?
First.
And all three heads gargle out different answers. Yes, no, maybe.
Very
I
trustworthy.
need to leave.
Which
Will
one
you
said
allow us to
yes?
put you out of your misery?
Which one said yes?
The one in front with the jack-o'-lantern head.
And then the one in the middle that has the legs said no.
Head in front said yes, the one in the middle said no, and the one on the floor just kind of basically like lazily said maybe.
I feel like the one that has the ability to move them probably has the overriding decision on that one.
Maybe. We might have some control of all the parts.
And Gil, in response to you, they simply stare and look. The head kind of lurches to look down at its bladed arm and looks back to you. No.
There you go.
Apparently they are just fine as they are.
Well, I will say Lucian and Raccoon and Caro, the three of you would know this from your encounter with Lorican. Ichor Beast will basically automatically enter a defensive mode whenever attacked. Their mutations will be exacerbated and they will go on the aggressive no matter what.
Basically trying to protect
Yeah,
us by
so-
not having us attack.
It's basically that's why I looked at that giant sword like, yeah, that's not going to be a good idea for you to try that.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, seems reasonable.
Well, that's why I'm talking this out.
So what are we gonna do now?
Will you allow us to pass?
And the three heads pipe up differently again, this time going backwards. Yes, no, maybe. And the pumpkin head vomits Ichor onto the floor as the head and back kind of lolls around and speaks up again. Alpha, Beta, Delta, Foxtrot, Gamma. It starts rattling off different titles, almost just kind of letting itself go into gobbledygook and gibberish.
Are
Probably
those
more.
here?
Okay. Could hang on, let me get my notebook because I have a theory here. Could you did it go alpha, beta, like in
I was
order?
skipping ahead a bit, so I didn't. It went alpha, beta, Charlie, Delta, Echo, Foxtrot, all the way down to Lambda.
It used the military
Yeah, I know.
alphabet.
I know what it is.
I know that
Matthew,
just scared the
Caleb-
shit out of me.
Caleb is
And yet-
going to be like, are there any others like Beta or any of the others here?
All here.
Ooh.
Sounds like fun.
Sounds like we need to drop a nuke from orbit.
In orbit,
the
we're
one-
we're
This
inside a
is new.
cave.
That with the accent.
We're inside a cave.
The one in the middle places a hand to its head and kind of like
There's
steps
bombs
side
that
to
can-
side.
There's bombs that can burrow into the ground.
I think there's also like basically you guys have to get really far away so the cave-in doesn't kill you.
Multiple
And
reasons.
the head in the middle kind of starts like stumbling side to side, almost like dazed, and speaks up. All here, containment has been breached.
They're
I
free.
don't like
the
that.
Could
Will
you
the
say that again
others
without the
attack?
voice?
Oh,
All
Okay,
here,
all
containment has
here,
been
yeah.
breached.
yeah.
And Caleb's gonna be like, will the others attack us?
Yes, no, maybe.
So,
It tells the truth. The other only lies. How will
well,
you escape our dungeon?
it's like one hill tells the truth, one hill lies, one hill just doesn't really care. So,
From what I remember, Caleb, I'm sorry for bringing this up, but when we were with Lorcan, nothing happened until I fired the first shot. So I'm assuming that that means that, and we heard this from Kalum too, that it doesn't do anything until it engages like in combat. So possibly we will be able to go by it, but I really don't want to take that chance because I can't
Who
heal
wants to
anybody right
test
now.
that theory?
Can't heal
Nobody.
anybody.
Gil
Well, I
will
could,
start
but
walking.
You can't heal.
Oh god, Gil's gonna test the theory.
All right.
I'm going to slowly edge along the outside of the room towards the laboratory.
All right. Well,
It's
so yeah,
Because
so
they pointed towards the door. So I
well,
know
they
it's
pointed just
roughly at.
further into the room and into an area you weren't able to see. Although, kind of
Yeah.
hugging the walls of the hallway, you pass by the 3 doors in this hallway, and head, and finally, you all watch tensely as Gil enters the same room as it. Real quick, Neon and Caro, you two have been quiet. What are the two of you doing?
I'm just kind of letting them do what they're doing, and
He's
just
like-
hanging back in case anything goes horribly wrong.
Which is
They're the
more
ones.
likely
They're the
Are you
experts.
calling for an orbital strike?
I would
And
like to.
Caro?
He's just like, Command, we need orbital strike in sector 5A269A.
Carol
We need an
has
orbital
been
strike on my location.
Carol has been watching carefully and is continuing to keep her
Broken
weapon
arrow.
ready.
All right. You kind of grip your weapon ready to fire if the Ichor Beast gives Gil any trouble. And Gil, you enter the room with it. All 3 heads lock firmly onto you and watch.
And I'm going to watch it back.
As you enter the room with it, you see indeed the room that it's in appears to have once been sort of a waiting area. You see several chairs, most of which are now coated in ink and ichor that has since solidified. You actually see a few plants, likely kept here for decoration, that have since withered and died.
Are they also covered in ichor?
Those have actually been left alone for the most part. You do see a large set of double doors operated by another biometric scanner in the area you couldn't see earlier.
I am going to head towards those doors and not break eye contact with the 3.
With the alpha.
Ink continues to drool from all 3 mouths as they watch you. The pumpkin-headed one's claws scrape against the tile and actually start to like pull on one as if trying to rip it out of the ground. The middle one lurches to keep the body focused on you. Its stance awkward and clearly like weighed down by the 3 torsos attempting to be carried by one set of legs. And the one in back just lazily watches you with a very dull, lifeless expression.
I have a theory in my head. And Caleb, can Caleb ask us something again?
Yeah, like basically, as long as you wouldn't have to normally roll for something, I'm willing to let you just state whatever you want, like in character. Don't want to make you
Caleb
roll
is
for
like-
posing a theory.
Caleb's gonna ask a question that might seem weird, but Caleb, ask it. What are we?
They kind of, Gil, you're kind of plunged into darkness as the 3 heads swivel towards Caleb, and they stare, and there's a long pause, almost like the beast itself isn't sure how to answer, before the head in the back kind of inferior.
Oh.
Damn. Okay. Ouch. First off.
It's like.
Scene just kind of.
Familiar to the 3-headed beast that has a hard time walking or moving.
Same
Because
wavelength.
Thing is, Caleb's thinking about how these things were attacking the people in the city on sight, yet this one seems to be ignoring us.
let's say the original batch, so it probably.
But we also have the black blood.
Yeah.
That's why he asked,
Most
what
of
are
us.
we?
Arrow doesn't.
And as far as we know,
Well, yeah,
neither
you-
does
Neon.
the officer. But we don't know that yet.
Yeah, you haven't cut his arm yet. He hasn't gone through the test.
Mm-hmm.
But I get the idea, yeah.
I can't remember. Was it like if someone else cut us, it didn't show the
Yeah,
black blood?
Yeah, if an Ichor Beast injures you, you bleed black. If you are injured by normal means, you bleed normal.
But if we injure ourselves, we also
Yeah.
bleed black.
Well, because you
Yeah,
are Ichor Beast
technically.
yourselves.
Technically, we are Ichor Beast because we have black blood in that.
How
No.
far has Gil gotten by now?
He's at the door, but Gil, there's a biometric scanner. You can try and activate it if you want.
I am.
Okay. You place your hand on it. It scans. There's some sparks fly from it, and it flashes red and appears to have rejected you. And at the
I want
noise,
to try.
all three heads swivel back towards you, not seeming aggressive, just watching. And Lucian, you're gonna try to join Gil in the room.
I'm going to very slowly make my way there.
Okay. You carefully make your way around the beast, passing up 3 doors, heading into the room. And
Yeah, I keep forgetting that Raccoon is on is like
on
pig
Gil.
on Gil this entire time. So
basically,
every time he does something, he's putting her in danger too.
yeah, true. But if you want, you can say that since Raccoon said they didn't want to go in there, that she could have
Oh,
climbed
yeah.
down.
Like, I was gonna say, since I know Gil's endangering his own life,
Yeah. So
theoretically he would have put you down.
yeah. So yeah, between Raccoon not wanting to go and you not wanting Raccoon to go, yeah, Raccoon would have stayed with the group. And Lucian, you carefully make your way around. But by the time you reach the halfway point, the heads actually split their attention. The jack-o'-lantern head watching Gil, the middle one staring at the pad, and the one in back watching you, basically upside down as its head follows you. And the heads, or the body starts to move, not aggressively, but just kind of slowly and awkwardly clamber towards Gil.
Is it dark in that room?
I walk a little faster.
There is dim light, but the jack-o'-lantern is the only source of bright light.
Can Caleb try shining at the jack-o'-lantern so he can see better?
Sure. As the jack-o'-lantern head swivels away from you, you pull the jack-o'-lantern that Lucian had given you and pull on the stem, and
I just realized.
the wick lights up, and the heads all swivel in different directions again. And the one in the back, as it turns away from you to look at Caleb, Gil, you see the body in back now behind the beast and slightly out of sight from the rest of you. Lucy and you and Gil see that one actually reaching its arms towards the pad, ink dripping from its fingers. It can't reach it from its position, but it just kind of almost does raccoon-esque grabby hands towards the pad as its legs.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I'm gonna
No, Gil.
I'll
Let it.
tell them. I'm gonna tell the rest of the party, y'all don't do anything. I think they want to help.
I mean, we
Let
weren't
it.
going to anyways.
Yeah, let it.
They're too scared of this big monstrosity.
Caleb, you see the heads are now the remaining 2 heads are now directed at you. Although the one in the middle watches Lucian out of the kind of its periphery, and the head in front just stares at you for a long moment as ichor floods from its mouth and actually starts to slightly drip from the eye sockets of the jack-o'-lantern, and the head in the middle kind of lurches over. Marley.
Marley, does that sound familiar to me?
Not to you. However, Neon, Roll a history check with disadvantage.
Disadvantage. I see. Daring today. Damn it. Got a nat 20 for one of them. Motherfucker.
Sorry.
Just roll another
Oh,
one.
okay, the other one actually wasn't that bad. It was 18.
Yeah, and here's the reason. You'll know the reason you have disadvantage. You do recognize the name, although you're lucky you did. It was mentioned completely in passing during one of your basically during your training. A common practice of the peacekeepers is to review old cases and basically use them to train you in the do's and don'ts of the organization. You recognize the name Marley. You recognize it as one of the people down in Edict long before you got down there, who had assisted a famous serial killer in his murder. They were captured by the peacekeepers, although they were simply placed under arrest. And because it was found that they had not directly helped, they had provided indirect assistance, but not actually done any of the crimes themselves. They served some time, and eventually were their sort of remaining sentence was paid off by the Smithers Coal Company. So they provided indirect financial support to a serial killer, and then after serving a few years in prison, were bought out of it by the coal company, which, as you know, them going missing is the reason you're down here.
So Caleb is like, kind of holds the pumpkin and is like, "Do you recognize this?"
He was like,
its head jerks in that same like unsettling, uncanny nod. Marley.
that
Maybe there's still DNA in that head, and you can use it to open the thing.
Gil, do you still have the bones?
Yeah.
All right.
I'm just gonna go on record and say that B in military code is Bravo, not Beta.
Yeah, that's intentional.
So it's actually Greek alphabet, I think. No, it's not. It's F is Foxtrot.
Yeah.
And so Caleb is just gonna be like, Beta?
The head in the middle lurches. Beta.
Was Marley Beta?
Foxtrot.
Can I reach into my bag real quick and take out the non-metal hand?
Sure.
And I want to try to scan that real quick.
Okay. Real quick, Caleb, were you gonna do something?
Yeah, he's gonna ask, do you know what Beta is named?
The pumpkin head kind of lurches forward and just drools some ichor onto a puddle in front of it and slowly shakes its head, almost like a vaguely ashamed motion. And the head, the body and back actually finally reaches its arms up outside of the grabby hands motion and actually pulls on the one in front of it to slowly lift itself off its back and claw up the one in front's back to be able to look at you. And as it kind of drools onto its comrade's shoulder, holding itself up only by its arms, it drools and looks to you. Don't ask questions. Do your job.
Oh.
Is that what the people who are here told you at some point?
And it places a hand to its face again as ink begins to flood.
Agnes.
Gil, as you take the bones free from the backpack, the head and back slowly turns to look at you and stares at the bones before letting it lets go and falls onto its back with a splat and stares at you, returning to its dull, lifeless state as it just stares at the bones and Marley.
Marley is in a better place now, Agnes.
Don't ask questions. Do your job.
This. Okay. Never mind.
And Gil, you place the skeletal hand on the biometric scanner, and it actually reacts in a way you haven't seen before. As it scans, it reaches about the halfway point and does the same almost backwards motion of when it scanned Lucian's hand before the scan completes, and with a very seemingly overtaxed spark shooting out of it, there's a pause and the doors open about halfway and stop. It is enough room for you to walk through, but it's basically only the length of a single door rather than the set of double doors it was clearly meant to. It appears that this machine is struggling to stay on, but there is more than enough room for all of you to walk through, but it's not. Basically, it's the size of a single door, as it only opened that much before freezing up.
So
Look at that! They had the smart moment.
I want to look through it real quick and see. I want to see if it's safe.
Make a perception check.
I touch his shoulder and I cast guidance.
All right. I believe that's a D4, correct?
Yes, it's a D4.
Yeah.
Sorry,
so,
I was checking.
Yeah, no worries. Gil, roll a perception check and you can add a D4 to the result if you wish.
21.
You look forward and you see a long hallway lit by fluorescent lights at the very least, and at the door at the other end, seemingly the only other way besides that door, you see the left is like the left side of the hallway is almost completely some type of glass. However, the windows are completely frosted and you cannot see what's on the other side of them. And the door across the hall is coated in a generous layer of ichor. However, you can still make out the shape of the door. But there's a door there, but it has been given a fine misting of ichor over the time of these creatures living here. And with a pretty good perception check, especially with Lucian's guidance, I'll give you this as well. You can hear a distant sound from down the hall, a somewhat familiar one. The sounds that the Edict security automatons make while walking.
Do I hear this as well?
A robot.
I'll tell you what, it's a relatively small thing, and you rolled for guidance, so sure. You can hear the distant, so the two of you can hear a security automaton in the distance.
I whispered to Gil, should we get the others to come with us too? Because if that is one of those metal men, maybe the officer can disengage it, or maybe it can help us if he orders it to.
Not if it's been reprogrammed.
Well, there's only one way to find out.
But what do we do about Handsome over here?
Agnes,
It's
do you know who I
It was
am?
Angus.
Angus, sorry.
It was the name of the noble that he used to be.
Do you know who I am?
And its
Yes.
head slowly jolts side to side, shaking their head.
Elefikir.
The head in front starts to jolt and seize violently, and the
Oh,
one
no.
in back sinks its claws into the ones in front and start to pull itself up.
Well, you didn't like that.
Not Lucifer. Not Lucifer. It's okay. It's me. It's okay. It's okay.
What's your first name?
Lucian. It's Lucian.
The ichor begins to pool around all three
Probably should have
faces
thought about
before
that.
the tail end falls backwards again, and the head in front starts to slowly calm and return to its simple, like crab walking posture to keep the body from falling. And the middle head stares at you and says again, "Don't ask questions. Do your job."
Well, imply a few things.
Yeah, it does. Lucian looks at Gil, and Gil, you've seen this look before. She is on edge, of tears, realizing something obvious here.
Those of you still in the entryway, you can hear bits and pieces of the conversation and saw the creature like freak out momentarily before being soothed. What are the rest of you in the hallway doing?
Just waiting.
Yeah, just kind of keeping all guns trained.
Ready
Yeah,
to fight.
Caro, as you have your crossbow at the ready, you see Neon's mech ready, the same interesting crossbow you had seen them fire at the previous one.
There it is again.
Yeah.
There it is.
There it is.
Zephyr, you?
Well, I guess I will ask the remaining of the party, so what should we do about this?
I make a come here motion to them.
You guys see Lucian kind of edge back into view and gesture for you all to follow, and the heads swivel towards all of you to simply observe.
I kind of give another signal, like slowly. It's okay, Agnes. Everything's okay.
Angus.
He's not gonna say
I
this.
keep saying Agnes because I'm thinking about Sundragon. Jesus Christ.
He's not saying this out loud. Lucian won't. He's just gonna kind of giggles like, well, so much for that rescue.
The heads all watch. Who's going to be the first to proceed forward? If anyone.
I'm guessing the mech.
Yeah,
Be the
I
sure,
will.
mech. Oh,
I'll go
okay.
forward. Kind of like
Alright.
skitter and like sneak my way around.
The pumpkin head watches you. Your eyes going wide again as the light catches you and just basically acts as a spotlight. And Neon, you cautiously follow a bit of a distance so as to not overwhelm the beast behind Raccoon.
Raccoon back on my shoulders.
And Neon, as you proceed forward, the creature actually kind of jostles and sloshes away to kind of give your mech some clearance room. But as you step into the room and start kind of edging your way cautiously around it, the head and back actually kind of like reaches up and splats a hand onto the kind of visor of your mech, leaving just a inky black liquidy handprint as it slowly drags its
It's like
hand
you have
down.
windshield wipers.
Neon pulls out a small little notebook and just writes, "Note to self: invest in windshield wipers."
Okay, it's okay. Like Lucian's like, you know that part in Jurassic World when like Chris Pratt's like with his arms wide with the velociraptors.
It's like,
It's
whoa,
like that.
Alpha,
Like,
I see you. Back
I
up.
see you. I see you. Don't give me that shit. She's like that. She's like, hey, it's okay. I'm here. I see you. Everything is okay. We're not going to hurt you.
I'm gonna hurt you. Pow pow.
Caro and Caleb, the two of you are the, I believe, only ones left in the entryway. And Zephyr, you have not proceeded forward yet either. So the two
I
patrons
guess
and the ranger.
Caleb will slowly start to head out with his pumpkin light.
All right. As you head forward, the heads again swivel, and the head in front watches with specifically downwards at the pumpkin as it slowly kind of mutters to itself. And as you get closer to it and pass it by, you can hear it under its breath, just Marley.
I know.
Zephyr, Caro?
Caro's gonna creep in.
All right. Caro, as the heads swivel towards you, you see all three of them kind of tilt their heads in different directions, watching you. And all of you kind of pause a bit, tensed as it seems to freeze, looking at Caro. And finally, after a moment, quietly speaks up. Charlie.
You're not.
Wait, what?
Probably.
It
Do you know
recognized
where
her.
Charlie is?
I think it may be recognized.
There's a few things that what Charlie is that comes to my mind at least.
I wasn't asking what Charlie is. I was having Caleb ask if it knows where Charlie is. Or if it knows who Charlie is.
It kind of like slumps and tilts its head side to side. Don't ask questions. Do your job.
You were already answering questions earlier.
The head and back just leaks ichor from its eyes as it watches you pass, Caro, and like reaches out towards you, just kind of like patting the tiles near your feet as you pass by it.
Agnes, who, or Ignis? I can't fucking talk tonight.
It's Angus.
Thank you, Angus.
Like the beef.
Angus. Yes, Angus.
The Adventure Zone.
Yeah. Focus. Look at me. Who's Charlie?
Alpha, Beta, Charlie.
Yeah, I figured that.
Lucian, I think we're running out of time. They need to get over here.
Do I see any other? Because didn't he say he said that there was a alpha in here in this next room in the laboratory?
No,
he is alpha.
Yeah, he always says alpha in reference to himself.
Yeah, he was calling himself alpha this whole time.
All right.
So he was probably the very first.
I think let's get into this next area and let's converge on to what to do next.
So, yes, being last left, I thought about leaving, but I will actually come.
You just walk away.
It's like, well,
All right, bye. I'm heading to the enrichment center. See ya.
He'll come. We'll just kind of casually walk, like, ignoring the beast.
And Zephyr, to your surprise, it actually doesn't turn to look at you at all. It simply continues staring at Caro, and the body and back grabs forward and pulls itself back up again, not aggressively like before, but just like kind of picking itself up and just kind of almost akin to the pose raccoon's doing on Gil's shoulders, although you can't tell whether it's imitation or just coincidence, and kind of like splats its head into the one in the middle shoulders and just.
You have grown liking.
The frog.
The frog thing.
I'm sorry. Don't ask questions. Do your job.
Apologize.
Does it seem like he's apologizing to Caro?
Yeah, the heads will not take their eyes other than the one in back that's just sobbing into the one in the middle shoulder.
Caro,
Hmm?
could you do me a favor?
Yes.
Could you tell it that it's okay?
Caro like looks to the heads. Not sure which one to focus on, so she just focuses on the one in the middle. And says it's okay.
Don't ask questions. Don't ask questions. The claws dig into the tile, almost like it's fighting against itself.
Quickly. Come on.
Do you all proceed into the next hallway?
And
Sure.
assume so.
Yeah.
One by one, you all not taking your eyes off of the monster, since the hallway appears to be empty anyway. Proceed into the hall, and the heads all part to look at you again, Caro, and I'm sorry.
Is there a way to close this door?
Yeah, there's
between us?
another biometric scanner on the other side.
Okay. I'm gonna try to close the door.
All right, so you're gonna use your hand for it.
Do we still have the?
I'm gonna use the
Yeah,
skeleton.
use the skeleton hand. You do the skeleton hand because Lucian's not gonna touch that shit.
It's like a skeleton key, but it's a skeleton hand.
You pull out the skeleton hand, place it on the scanner, and it does the same thing again. Scans, has almost an error, retracts, and then proceeds to scan. And this time, the doors begin to close. You can hear the gears and mechanics struggling. Like, Neon, you wince. As you can tell, these things are borderline frozen, barely functioning, and probably have not been properly repaired in literal years. But as the doors slowly begin to force themselves closed, the heads all watch the door retract, and Marley, Charlie, sorry. As the door finally closes, leaving you all in the hallway. This area, now that you're in it, is cold from the frost that has overtaken the windows. It's not as cold as it is outside, but it's pretty cold. At least cold enough to where you can like kind of have to rub your arms a bit and can see your breath.
Looking around the room, is it like a laboratory or?
It's just a hallway.
I look towards the inked doorway. Gil, do you think that you could use the flame sword to maybe cut this off, like melt it down?
I'll try.
What are they melting?
The ichor that's like stuck to the door.
Oh, okay.
We're melting our souls.
Yeah.
All right. So, Gil, you want to proceed?
Knowledge.
You want to proceed forward and do this?
Activate that sword.
I'm going to do it slowly, keeping an eye out for, especially that ice to over glass.
All right. Make a perception check.
Guidance.
All right, make a perception check and add a d4 to the result.
Trying to get in the habit of saying it before
19.
he rolls.
And yeah, that's fair because you you can't do it once the roll's already done. Gil, as you step forward first, all of you can hear this, but Gil, you're the first to hear it. As you step forward and light up your flame tongue, you start to step forward, Raccoon still on your back, and the rest of you falling in behind as the door is shut behind you. And one by one, but again, starting with Gil, you guys hear music. And you initially think, especially you, Neon, that it might be like through the speakers, but it's actually coming from the iced over window. Although, again, you can't see what's on the other side through the frost. But you hear music. This kind of almost kaleidopy music, like something you would hear at a carnival. That like like very happy and peppy music.
So annoying music.
Does it sound like fade, like kind of like, you know how like an old record sounds, like faded and like rough?
It doesn't. It does sound clear, albeit slightly muffled through the glass. But what does catch your attention is as you guys get about halfway down the hall, the music starts to like. And starts to become really like dim and somber.
Well, that's not ominous. Gil?
Well, let's keep going, huh?
Zephyr will follow.
All right.
And I will take care of the door.
Okay. Caro, Neon, what are the two of you doing?
I can follow behind.
Caro?
And Carol has climbed up onto Garo and is just like, that was weird.
Sorry, Carol, but I feel like he needed to hear that.
Well, it's not that. It's more that they wouldn't stop looking at me.
Yeah, that was a little odd.
As you guys get closer to the door, the music had started to distort around the halfway point, but once you guys hit the door, it kind of returns to its happy, peppy tone.
Great! It's got a great sense of humor.
As you guys approach the door and Gil, you start getting ready to carve into it, you all hear a kind of dull and look and see a inky handprint on the window slowly dragging down.
That was to be expected.
Nope.
Nope.
I look at everybody else. Do you think we'll get lucky with this one too?
I don't know. I don't know.
Let's not find out. We're safe from
We
that
could
one.
either go that way or that way. I mean, I guess this is as good as place as any to take a rest.
Gil, you gonna keep trying to get through the door?
I'm gonna look down at myself, look at Lucian, look at the rest of the party. Can I do a quick assessment and see how everyone looks?
Lucian looks tired as fuck.
Yeah, Lucian's exhausted and pretty injured, but at least has enough energy to keep kicking. Zephyr and Caleb are completely unharmed. Caro and Raccoon have taken a couple hits, but still seem relatively well put together. And Neon has also been pretty much completely untouched.
About half the party has been untouched. Half has been nicked or just kind of like the only one who's probably in worse condition is you, Gil. I think you took a lot more hits.
Oh yeah.
So
Gil, as you look the party over and contemplate, the hand starts to drag itself, leaving an ink trail behind it that freezes to the frost. As the music gets closer to all of you, and you can hear on the other side of the glass, it's like.
Yeah.
And the music starts to.
Can
Oh,
Caleb
no.
like
It's
see
all
what's on the
walking.
other side of the glass?
You can make a perception check with disadvantage because of the frost.
Guidance.
Okay.
All right,
Perception.
roll an extra d4 with that.
It's a cantrip, so.
Oh yeah, like no reason not to use it.
So I add a D4 to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You make your roll, and then Lucian uses a spell on you so that you can roll a d4 on top of that.
Pretty much.
It's gonna be that plus that. It's gonna be 15.
Okay. How close are you willing to get to the glass? Just 'cause I don't want to assume you get real close to it if you're not willing to.
He'll get close enough to kind of peer through it.
Okay. So you walk up, and you have to actually kind of like use your sleeve to get some of the frost off. There's still the layer of frost on the other side, which is even thicker, so you still can't see super well, but you can at least kind of like peer. You can see like kind of hazy images, but the shapes you can see are enough to give you actually a decent idea. You see a field of snow and several frozen glass pods. You recognize this as the area you had seen on the security footage, specifically the area on the right, or rather the camera on the right. And as you're like peering around at the containment pods, getting a feel for where you are in relation to it, you can see a door, heavy metal looking one, like something like akin to the one that was there when you guys got to Edict, like this massive almost garage door. And you can actually see it's slightly open. And as you're peering at it, inky black shape slides into view, and the shape you see baffles you. You see a shape that's almost akin to a scythe, but it appears to be double-bladed, and rather than being held, it's being used as almost a walking stick. You see this double-bladed scythe basically
So it looks like a pickaxe.
Sort of, yeah, and it basically like kind of angles side, almost like a metronome as it goes side to side, and clinging to either side of it are two identical Ichor figures. One arm on the staff of this weapon, and the other's just simply like dangling loosely as the music. And the two just kind of rotate and like swing back and forth on this weapon. Their legs seemingly like fuse to it as they basically like use their own weight to kind of counterbalance it back and forth for locomotion. But as you watch, all of you can hear the music. The music picks up again, and the swinging starts to get faster, and they start making their way closer to the window again. And as they kind of swivel around, doing a complete 360 in the snow and ice, Caleb, you can see one of their faces is cracked into this wide, unnatural smile, but the other is in this deep, like equally unsettling frown.
I like the theatrical mask.
Mm-hmm.
Have they seen Caleb peering at them yet?
As the happy face swings around again, they stop and just watch. And as the two of you just make eye contact, and the music starts to get very disjointed and mangled before, and the happy face actually slumps, and the sad face picks up and starts swinging the side to side, heading away from the window now, almost as if it's completely forgotten you.
Fair enough. Caleb just will kind of get back off from the window and is like, this place is weird and strange and unsettling.
Absolutely.
But did
agree.
Caleb tell us everything he saw?
Caleb, do you want to?
Yeah, Caleb will tell him what he saw.
Yeah, so
So Angus told us that there was what was it?
he gave you
The-
12 names in total.
Well, no, he said that the reason that everything was going on was because there was a breach in security or something.
Yeah, there was containment breach.
So what if that containment breach is that door over there that's open? Hence where all the snow and stuff came from outside.
It's a possibility.
So if we can figure out how to shut the door, it should stop.
Stop the snow.
So yeah, basically the theory
Correct.
is that if this Ichor Beast is creating the snow, then recontaining it might contain the bad weather as well. After all, if there was a breach in containment, it had to be contained at some point.
Start. But here's the thing. How are we going to get past that? I mean, we're not
There must
100%
be
sure that.
another side of it.
Yeah, but we're not 100% sure that it won't attack like
There's probably
Ingus.
another side of the door that we can close the door with it still inside its room.
Yeah, but
Exact-
what I'm saying is, how are we gonna get across the room without it hurting any of us?
To clarify, because Caleb would know this, but Lucian didn't see it, the way the room is angled, Caleb actually is right. That in theory, you could shut because the door is on the right side, and you guys are going in that direction. So yes, in theory, you could shut the door, or at least operate it, or attempt to, without entering that chamber at all. Gil, do you still want to try and bust this one open?
I am gonna bust open the door.
All right.
To
Lighting
where
your
the thing is, or on
Yeah,
a
this door
different
just
door?
heads forward, although you don't know what's on the other side. Although now that you guys are closer, you can definitely hear the telltale signs of automaton patrols. And Gil, you light your flame tongue and begin to slowly carve away at the ichor. It flakes and burns and like shrivels away at your touch as you basically have to scrape to reveal the metal of the door. And you do see another biometric scanning mechanism, although you likely won't be able to scrape it without damaging it. But it does. The lights indicate it's at least still operational, although the screen is coated in ink.
I will take the skeletal hand and place it on top to see if it'll still scan.
All right. Same result. Okay. And the door. And Neon, this time you can hear what is definitely the sounds of gears and mechanics literally having to break and chip ice as they operate.
Have you heard that sound before, Matthew?
Yes, actually. And the door slowly opens. You'll have to crouch, but at its current position, you all can enter the next room if you wish.
Yeah, I can walk in and just find them.
Yeah, you can just walk in, but like,
I
yeah,
want to look before I go in.
Make a perception check.
Guidance.
Can Caleb look as well?
Make a perception check with advantage. Add a d4 to the result.
He heard everybody trying to help.
Hey, the party's actually working together. I'm not going to complain.
I can't do shit, so I might as well help this way.
Yeah.
26.
As the beauty of cantrips, they mean the spellcaster can always be useful. All right. So Gil and Caleb, with Lucian helping in casting a spell, the three of you kind of crouch down and look through. In the room, you see an automaton. Its back is to you, but you can still see the same weapons strapped to it. And it's currently lifting up its left arm, the arm that is usually a normal hand. However, from its finger, you see what appears to be a very simple welding torch as it welds at some device on the wall. You reckon it's this massive, almost akin to a massive bottle, but like it takes up almost the entire wall and appears to have nothing in it. And what little there was appears to have been long frozen, but it simply makes repairs along the sides of it.
Is it armed?
Yeah, it still has all the guns of the usual automaton, but it appears to its back is to you, and it appears to simply be repairing. And to your left, on the side of the room, you can see what appears to be a set of controls. Rather than the biometric scanner, you do see a biometric scanner, but on top of it, you see a mechanism. That appears that you would need to insert something akin to a key inside it, although the shape is not like any key you've ever seen. The door appears to be very heavily reinforced, and you can actually see some visible frost coming
I'm
from
surprised I didn't hear the door opening.
it. Yeah, it's odd, isn't it?
See all of this as well?
Yeah, all three of you can see this.
I will look down to Zephyr and I will whisper to him. Do you see that contraption over there that you need to insert something?
Yeah, if you like step around Lucy and kind of basically look under her arm, you can see it above the biometric scanner.
I do.
Do you think that you could use your, let's say, talents to break into that and turn the knob? He's basically asking you to pick the lock.
Oh, pick a lock.
Yeah.
That is something I can do, yes. I can at least try.
Man, look at the party getting along.
How far away is it from where Zephyr? Like, could I go there with him safely, or?
You can try. It appears to be about a 20-foot distance between where you are and the keypad.
I will try to go with him so I can give him guidance.
There'd be a lot of modifiers.
Do the two of you want to try and sneak through, or are you just gonna walk?
Yeah, I want to sneak.
Can I try something first, you guys?
What do you want to do?
Well, I want to throw something into the room and see how it reacts.
No, that sounds like a really bad idea because then it will pinpoint where we are.
But if y'all make any noise while you're picking that lock, it'll pinpoint where you are anyways, and you'll be in danger.
Well, it sounds like we'll be in danger anyway.
Yeah.
All right, Zephyr and Lucian, if you're going to commit to this plan, both of you roll stealth. And just stealth, since Lucian's going to guidance the picking.
Yeah. Can I guidance myself or stealth?
Yeah, I mean, it's a cantrip, so as long as there's no material components you have to spend, go for it. So yeah, add a d4.
Guidance myself.
And the focus.
Yeah, it should be fine. But if there was a cost, they would have to pay it every time, like regardless of focus. But I don't believe it has a cost like that.
No, it doesn't.
I don't think any. Yeah. But anyway.
Yeah.
My brother's better at stunts, but we'll see what I can do.
Ooh.
Not bad.
All right. What were the two of you's results?
I did really good. I got a natural 19, so 27.
All right. Zephyr?
7.
Yeah, 23 plus 4.
I got a... Yeah, 9.
Okay. The two of you, cautiously, Lucian casting your spell quietly, start to sneak into the room. The rest of you in the hallway watch and listen tensely as the machine continues to make its repairs to whatever this tank of water is supposed to be, and all of you start making your way around. And Zephyr, you arrive at the mechanism. What would you like to do?
Well, I guess I will bring out my thieves' tools and see if I can lockpick it.
Before he does that, Lucian will crouch down to his level and look at him.
It's like, can you do that? It's a lot of crouching.
Zephyr. She's whispering to him.
Yeah, stage whisper. I get it. Don't worry.
Zephyr, I want to apologize to you.
Apologize for what?
Well, we fight a lot, and we don't get along at all. And I'm not sure why, but I really can't let go of what happened in the past. But I'm willing to let myself try to trust you this point moving forward. If you continue to act trustworthy.
Can't make any promise.
She kind of chuckles and nods. I didn't think so anyways. But I can understand why you are the way you are, and I'm sorry that we continue fighting and we do nothing but fight. But I do think that you are useful.
And I guess you have some use.
He kind of smiles at him and pats his head, and I'll cast guidance as I do.
All right.
Alright.
Zephyr, make a lockpick check with advantage and add guidance.
Yeah, ooh, what's advantage? Oh, wow, that's a lot.
Hey, big emotional moment. I'm willing to reward you.
Yeah, I know, right?
Like, lockpick
with a life and death situation.
So it's
I told you guys I had plans. So what'd you get, Zephyr?
I'm trying to think. Like, so it's my dex.
So it's, you roll with advantage, and then your dexterity, your proficiency, and then a d4.
And my expertise. So twice. Not very good rolls, but I have a lot of modifiers. So let's see. Proficiency is 3, so that'd be an extra +6.
Yeah, Caleb may be sneakier than you, but that's because he's an assassin. You are at your heart a thief.
+6 plus 4. 1. So I think quick math. 16.
All right.
Thanks.
Zephyr, you can't really reach the thing on your own, especially not enough to stand and like fiddle with it with your lockpicks. But I will say, if you're willing to let them, Lucian could essentially give you a boost to let you stand enough to be able to actually get your bearings. And it's a bit high. It's meant to be operated at like about chest level to a person. So, and you're not going to be able to keep jumping up, picking it a little bit, jumping back up. Like it's not how this is going to work. But
If
Lucian can give you a boost.
Yeah, if he lets her, he will help him. She will.
You willing to allow that, Zephyr?
Debating.
I will not touch you without your permission. I'm not Gil.
That is Gil. That is something that Gil does.
He has never.
He just did it. I'm like, he has never. He has never like.
I was thinking something else.
All right, so
yes, he will sign. Let her do it. Let her help.
So Lucian
He's
kind of
slimy.
Nah, his skin's just smooth.
Okay.
Lucian hoisting up Zephyr. It's almost like picking up a small child for you.
Okay.
You're able, Zephyr. You're able to get enough posture to start working on it. It appears to mostly be electronic bits, so initially you're not sure you're going to be able to work with this, but as you start reaching your lockpicks further and further back, you feel yourself getting a grip on what feel to be wires. and you kind of smirk to yourself and get enough of a grip on them and yank back, and you can actually see a very slight flash of light from inside the device as you cut the wires with your lockpicks. And by your best guesstimate, that particular layer of security has been disabled.
That particular.
Wait, so the lock was for nothing?
So basically, because of the shape, the fact that it's electronic, I will say that we would recognize this as a key card slot, but Zephyr was able to reach far enough back to simply just basically quite literally cut the Gordian knot and simply break the machine so that it couldn't, so that it just stops working anyway.
I will put
Fair
down
enough.
Zephyr nicely. I will put him down nicely on the floor.
There's still the biometric scanner if you want to open this door.
I will look to Zephyr. Do you want to do the honors?
Saying my hand.
Yeah, we should probably use the nasty skeleton, right?
I mean, it seems like it worked.
Yeah, you're probably right.
The machine in the
I'll
room
look to the other.
repair. Those of you at the doorway see Lucian turn to look at you.
I'll motion slow come.
So I will head that way, slowly and quietly. It's
All right.
sneakily with Raccoon on my back still.
All right. I'll say Gil roll stealth. Yeah, I'll say Gil and Raccoon both roll stealth. I was initially just going to give you disadvantage, but I was like, nah, that's fine. So Gil and Raccoon roll stealth. While they roll, what are the rest of you doing? Caro, Neon, and Caleb.
So we got to get that arm to them.
Yeah, well, yeah, Gil's already going to do it, but like by your best
Wonderful.
guesstimate, you would have to head in the room anyway to move forward. So Lucian's just gesturing for
I
you
guess
guys
we
to.
will head in.
All right. Caro,
Yeah.
Neon.
Head in.
All right, Neon.
so go
I will
with.
say. I will say before you head in, you won't be able to bring your mech in, and even if you could, you would have disadvantage
that's
on
what I
stealth.
figured.
So
That's what I figured.
right.
So I guess I'll just pocket my mech.
Imagine if he rolled 2 20s in a row in his giant ass mech.
yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
just tippy toes.
Would you stop playing that tiny piano? All right.
Maybe
All
he
of
should
you.
get a stealth feature on his mech. He can just turn invisible.
Is that something you can do? We'll
Wait.
check later.
Ooh.
Anyway, so one by one, you guys start to head in. Gil and Raccoon, what were your stealth rolls?
We both had a dirty 20.
All right, nice. Caro, Neon, and Caleb.
Oh yeah, I gotta make a stealth roll. Shit.
Yeah,
Luckily, I am pretty good at stealth. I get a +9 to stealth. I'm a sneaky boy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, you get a +9. I get a +6.
That'd be 28 in
What?
total.
I only get a +5.
Well, look, I'm a tiny fluffy boy.
Also, I love how you say you only get a +5 as a barbarian while stealthing.
Yeah.
15.
All right.
I got 28 in total.
Okay. Caro?
Caleb becomes invisible.
Yeah. Caro?
Okay, sorry. 21.
Okay. One by one, you all start to funnel in, being slow, stealthy, and quiet. Gil, you and Raccoon arrive first, and you immediately start slowly pulling the skeleton free to use its hand for the scanner. Caleb, you follow in shortly. Your movement's a little bit quicker because you're used to moving sneakily and quietly. Caro, you head in, staying on Garrow's back as Garrow slowly creeps along the floor, watching carefully as the machine continues to make its repairs. And finally, Neon, you start to head in. And as you continue walking, the Gil, you pull the hand free. Do you want to put it on the scanner?
I will wait for everyone to be next to us,
Okay.
so we can be somewhat hidden from
Alright.
sight.
Neon, you have to put your mech into that gauntlet you wear, yes?
Yes.
All right.
Zoop.
As you stay against the wall, your ears down, and you slowly start edging against the opposite wall, feeling very small as this machine towers over a good chunk of the party, let alone you. But as you're edging against the wall, your gauntlet makes a very slight but noticeable metallic scrape, and the machine stops what it's doing. It takes 2 steps backwards and swivels around on its torso, and all of you, Neon, this doesn't mean anything to you, although the red lights do spook you, obviously, but the rest of you pale as you see the machine's lights did not flick to red like the previous ones did. They simply are that way normally, and on the glass of their visors, where the previous one had simply had no icon at all, like no iconography to potentially block its vision other than what's painted on it. This one does have a symbol on its visor, a familiar one, the monocle with a lightning bolt in the middle. The emblem on Lorcan's poisoned handkerchief, the emblem of the top inventor of the Scar Concord, the emblem of Dr. Ampere Kaloum, as the machine levels its weapon at you, Neon, and says in a very familiar voice, "Intruders detected." And that's where we're going to end tonight's session.
Well,
I
shit.
fucking knew it. I knew the second you started going into that much detail about it, that it's going to be right here that it ends.
No.
You started building it up. The way you started building it up was like, yep, he's going to end it right here.
I mean, yeah, we are.
Yeah.
So the party is now neck deep in the dungeon and has, after encountering a surprisingly somewhat put together Ichor Beast, calling itself Alpha, listing off a number of other subjects probably in this facility, going all the way to Lambda. Heading forward, the party saw another Ichor Beast, but has yet to directly interact with it. And Zephyr and Lucian finally, after probably the most tense argument of the campaign, finally, for the time being, put their differences aside, and the party has been working together cohesively. A very slight slip-up on Neon's part has exposed the party to an Edict security automaton that appears to have been, as Gil feared, reprogrammed by Dr. Ampere Kaloum, which not only is dangerous in the moment, but poses some interesting questions for how safe Edict really is. Thanks everyone so much for watching. Thanks all of you so much for playing. Please check out our website at official d5hub.info. Check out the link that's usually posted in chat if somebody on the stream would mind putting it to our Discord server to join our official D5 Discord server if you want to hang out with us directly and support our episodes posted on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. And also check out the Alternator Productions official on Tumblr to find links to our other works, including our Bard's very own Twitch channel at twitch.tv/sippipings. With that, as I said, thanks everyone so much for watching. Thanks all of you so much for playing, and we'll see you all next week.